Part 79. Cannon Fodder Strategy. Author, Juan ERWR. Chapter 782. Yao Yao suggested that we should get together now that we are graduating. Yin, will you join? The girl who opened the door heard Qiao Yin ask, and didn't think much about it, and happily spoke out Lu Yao's suggestion. Qiao Yin couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief when she heard that her affair with Shen Qi was not discovered and discussed as she imagined. She forced a smile and entered the dormitory with her legs between her legs. I went to Teacher Zhao this afternoon. Didn't the teacher say that he would treat everyone to a restaurant outside the school for 2 days? The teacher said that we should have dinner together, but the teacher meant that we are classmates. After all, a few of us have lived in the dormitory for 3 years. We will have less time to see each other in the future. Everyone can share their things, and we can also get together alone. The girl who opened the door pushed up the glasses on her nose and explained. Qiaoyan nodded. You can decide, I can do it. She has always been such a gentle and generous character. In the dormitory, the girls all knew her reaction well. Everyone was talking about where they wanted to eat and where they wanted to sing. Suddenly someone turned the topic to Lily. Nai Bei, are you going? The speaker was the girl who lived in the upper bunk opposite Lily's bed. As soon as she turned the topic to Lily, everyone looked over at Lily. Seeing that someone had started, the next few girls couldn't help it either, and started talking in a flurry of words. Lily, I usually see you being quiet, but I didn't expect that your grades would be so good this time. You were 7 points higher than Prince Jean. You are the #1 scholar in science in our province. You have brought glory to our dormitory. If everyone knowing that you are in the same dormitory as us, I don't know how nice it is. The friendship between the girls is inexplicable. It came quickly. In the past, everyone looked down on Lily Nai. First of all, it was because she was inherently beautiful, and there was a sense of distance between her and the other girls. Next, Lily Nai was too proud and was reluctant to put down her face and play wildly with a group of girls. In addition, she didn't like Qiao Yin, which was equivalent to offending Lu Yao. Lu Yao has always been popular in the dormitory. After the incident, everyone stood by Lu Yao and Qiao Yin, which invisibly isolated Lily Nai. And Lily had no intention of developing any additional friendships after entering the mission. After all, she was only here to do the mission. Lily Nai did not need friendship in her wish, and the people in the dormitory had always disliked her, so she didn't put in the effort to mingle with others. Instead, she spent all her extra energy on studying and practicing martial arts. After a year, although the relationship with the 5 girls in the dormitory was not as tense as before between Lily Nai and this group of people, it had not eased much. Everyone praised Lily and wanted to ask her how she studied. Qiaoyan cleaned herself out of the bathroom and felt a little uncomfortable when she heard this. Nai Bei, you were shopping in the mall a few days before the college entrance examination. I thought you didn't focus on studying, but I didn't expect you to be so good. Do you have any secrets for studying? Lily beat Shen Qi to the hospital that day, and even the police were involved in the end. In order to create evidence of her absence, she went to the mall and walked around. Not only did the class teacher have an opinion on her, but also her classmates could not see it. She fell in love with her and thought she was just a flower vase with a superficial appearance. Seeing that the college entrance examination was imminent, she didn't know how to use her time to study hard. She obviously had an accident in her family and had no money, but she still wanted to make a fool of herself. Everyone in the class looked down upon her. I originally thought that she would definitely fail in the college entrance examination. Someone in the class secretly predicted that Lily would not be able to repeat the college entrance examination. Unexpectedly, when the results of the college entrance examination came out this time, she not only failed to repeat the college entrance examination. On the contrary, he became #1 in the province, and everyone was surprised by this result. Many people didn't believe it at first, but the school pulled out the banner in the afternoon. It was impossible for the school to make a joke about it. After everyone confirmed it, they actually felt very complicated. Although the classmates in the dormitory fawned over Lily, they still fell silent when they heard Xiaoyan's question. They also wanted to know how Lily studied. Although they envied Lily for becoming the top science student in the province, they usually put in the hard work. There were quite a few, but the result was so much worse than others. Everyone felt a little sour, so they all stared at Lily, wanting to hear what she could say. How can you do well in the test if your IQ is not at the same level? Lily was silent at first, but when she heard Xiaoyan's words, she turned over. Diligence can make up for clumsiness. I've said it before, if you can use your mind as a major general, in men, even stupid birds can fly first. For the sake of grades, Xiaoyan has mentioned several times that she went shopping before the college entrance examination. Lily sneered and blocked Xiaoyan back. Seeing the way she stared at him with tears in her eyes, she didn't want to be with her. Without much effort, he turned around, put the air conditioner on his face, and closed his eyes directly. Xiaoyan sobbed and cried for a long time. Seeing this scene, the classmates in the dormitory were too embarrassed to say anything. Lu Yao, who was sitting on the bunk and had just proposed, curled his lips and lay down too. No one took the lead to comfort Xiaoyan. Everyone looked at each other for a while, then went back to their beds and lay down. No one mentioned the dinner together in the dormitory, and the night passed like this. The class teacher invited everyone to dinner 3 days later. During these 2 days, Lily had to accept interviews from provincial newspapers and was very busy. When the day of the class reunion came, almost all the classmates went, and teacher Zhao Shi told Lily the number of the private room early in the morning. When she went there, many people from the class had arrived, and Xiaoyan was also sitting in the private room. But this time, there was no Lu Yao or Qin Zheng beside her, and she seemed a little disappointed. She kept thinking, fidgeting with the phone in her hand. She looked like she wanted to cry, looking a little pitiful. The boys around her looked at her strangely, but Xiaoyan didn't notice it. Lily is here, why hasn't Qin Zheng come yet? The head teacher was about to call Lily on her mobile phone, but she didn't expect that she was already here. When she asked, everyone shook their heads. Teacher Zhao, Qin Zheng is here. It seems that you have been very busy for the past 2 days, and you usually go back to the dormitory very late. Is there something that delayed you? A male classmate who was in the same dormitory as Qin Zheng said something. As soon as he spoke, several female classmates in the class burst into laughter. Isn't Yan on good terms with Qin Zheng? Call him. As soon as he said this, the male classmate who spoke had a strange expression, and Xiaoyan was about to cry. I don't know why, but Qin Zheng stopped answering her calls 3 days ago. He wouldn't answer her calls or reply to her text messages. She went downstairs to the boys' dormitory and couldn't find him. People in the dormitory said that in the past 2 days, Qin Zheng went out early and came back late. He didn't know what he was doing. As Qin Zheng's girlfriend, Xiaoyan didn't know what he was busy with. He felt a little aggrieved. He thought that from that day he knew that Lily's grades were better than Qin Zheng's, and his total score was better than his. After getting 7 points higher, Qin Zhenggren seemed to have changed a bit. Not only did he ignore her at that time, but he also looked very disappointed. However, no matter how frustrated he was, he would not neglect his girlfriend like this, not to mention how many days had passed. Qin Zheng should be angry even if he is angry, but he is still angry now. I don't know where he went. I didn't answer his phone. Maybe something happened. Several boys couldn't help but laugh when they heard her helpless tone. On the surface, it seemed that the past 2 days were calm, but in fact, things exploded in the boys' dormitory that day. Although no one said it in public because of Qin Zheng's face, the boy who received the call in the dormitory that day had secretly reported Xiaoyan. The matter of sleeping with Shen-Chi has been exposed. Now it is no longer a secret in the hearts of the boys in the third year of high school. In the past, Qiao Yan was a goddess in everyone's mind, but now they feel that she is a bit girly. I got crazy, did something like that, and pretended to be innocent and pitiful. I thought that Qin Zheng, a top student who was usually aloof, never expected to be a cuckold one day. In the past 2 days, the matter of Qin Zheng has been more popular among boys. Lily got the first place in the exam and was even more violent. Is he still angry? One boy couldn't help but ask, and someone then said, of course he will be angry when something like this happens. Even a man can't bear it, as he said. He also said, glancing at Qiaoyan. Qiaoyan was confused, thinking that they were talking about Qin Zheng's grades being worse than Lily's, and actually nodded along, but it has been many days since the incident, he shouldn't be like this stingy, right? As soon as she said her words, everyone fell silent. Qiaoyan felt that the atmosphere was a bit strange, but she didn't know what the problem was. She was embarrassed by others and stood up quickly. I'll give it to you again. He made a phone call. After saying that, she quickly got up and took her bag and went out. As soon as she left, everyone in the class couldn't help laughing. Everyone was whispering to each other. Some girls couldn't help but ask, but the boys didn't say anything at first. But after being spoiled by a female classmate, she still whispered that secrets are meant to be spread to others. In less than 5 minutes, when Qiaoyan called and came in, the classmates in the class looked at her in a strange way. He didn't answer the phone. She glanced at the class teacher helplessly, with an innocent and pitiful expression like a little rabbit on her face. When she was about to speak again, the class teacher really didn't know how to talk to her and just talked randomly. He waved her hand to sit down by herself. The classmates in the class avoided her like the plague. As soon as she sat down, many people got up and left. When Qiao Yan felt a little weird, Lu Yao also came in arm with a girl from the dormitory. To be continued. Canon Fodder Strategy. Author, Wan Erwr. Chapter 783. Everyone has just learned a piece of news and is excited. What's more, when they see Lu Yao, they remember that one of the male protagonists in the incident, Shen-Chi, is Lu Yao's cousin. How can everyone bear it now? Stop, they all stretched out their hands to Lu Yao. As soon as she sat over, Lily heard several girls whispering in Lu Yao's ears, is Qiao Yan dating your brother? No, Lu Yao naturally shook his head when he heard this. Her cousin Shen-Chi has been in love with Qiao Yan for more than 3 years. He has liked her since he met her in junior high school and pursued her until high school. Now he has graduated from high school. She had never succeeded before. Although she and Qiaoyan were estranged now, they had been best friends after all. She knew that Qiaoyan didn't like Shen-Chi. Otherwise, why would Shen-Chi have waited so many years? Shen-Chi tried so hard and the two of them failed to date. Shen-Chi also missed the college entrance examination because of Qiaoyan. Now it is even more impossible for the two of them to date. She didn't know where the female classmate got the news, and was about to ask. The female classmate then said, but both of them did something like that, and they were caught and raped in bed by Qin Zheng. Now everyone in the class knows it. You see, Qin Zheng didn't come today. Lu Yao didn't believe it at first, but several female classmates nodded desperately to prove what they said, and she was stunned. Qiaoyan, who was sitting on the other side, thought about it more and felt that something was not right. She felt that everyone was looking at her strangely. She also saw that Lu Yao was surrounded by a group of people. Everyone was whispering to her while staring at her. Look, it made her hair stand on end. Qiaoyan instinctively felt that these people were talking bad about her. In the 3 years of high school, she had never been spoken against. She had always been quite popular in the class, and she had never been excluded like this before. At first, She saw Lily Nye being excluded like this, but at that time, she was just watching the fun. Now that she had become a lively person, Qiaoyan felt a little uncomfortable. She walked towards Lu Yao and was about to find a stool to sit down on. But someone put his feet on the chair. Qiaoyan stood aside awkwardly, forcing a smile. Yao Yao, what are you talking about? It's so lively. At this time, Lu Yao was really angry when he saw her. He cared about her so much before and was even beaten twice by Lily for her, but she clearly knew that she liked Qin Zheng. She has a good impression of Qin Zheng. If Qin Zheng likes her, she has nothing to say. But after Lily was thrown down and injured in the classroom, she lay in the school medical room at noon. She was injured because of Qiaoyan. As a result, he didn't even look at her, and instead of saying anything, he spent the whole afternoon with Qin Zhenni. When Lu Yao came out of the infirmary and heard about this, he felt a chill in his heart. It was Qin Zheng's choice to like Qiaoyan. Lu Yao would not hate her, but what did Qiaoyan do when he was injured because of her? Instead of coming to see her, she took advantage of her injury to hook up with Qin Zheng. Since then, Lu Yao has alienated her. Qiaoyan, are you and Shen Qi together? Lu Yao was not a person who could hold back her words. Knowing the news and hearing Qiaoyan's question, Lu Yao directly told her what she had just heard. Out. The girls who told Lu Yao the news looked a little embarrassed, but they were also curious about how Qiaoyan would answer. Unexpectedly, Qiaoyan denied it categorically, of course not. Why do you ask like that? Everyone knows about this, don't you think so? When Lu Yao heard Qiaoyan's denial, an unknown fire surged out of his heart. Shen Qi had liked her for so many years. Due to her purity and cleanliness, she has never even dared to confess her feelings. Everyone in the class now knows that Qiaoyan slept with Shen Qi and was caught and raped by Qin Zheng. Although Lu Yao couldn't believe it, after all, although she had been disappointed with Qiaoyan for more than a year, she didn't treat her badly. Everyone was in denial, but when he heard that she denied Shen Qi without hesitation, and that her cousin had missed the college entrance examination because of her, and now he could only attend the Armed Police Academy, Lu Yao couldn't help but feel disappointed. She pointed at Qiaoyan and shouted, and Qiaoyan's heart skipped a beat, and a bad premonition came to her heart. She bit her lip, I'm dating Qin Zheng, how can I be with Shen Qi? You know, I always regard him as my older brother. As soon as she finished speaking, the door to the box was pushed open. Qin Zheng, wearing a white shirt and jeans, with a still cold expression but a bit of haze in his eyes, appeared in the box. I'm sorry I'm late. Apparently he heard Qiaoyan's last words. The expression on his face was as cold as the lingering spring rain in February. When Qiaoyan saw him appearing, he breathed a sigh of relief and walked towards him. Qin Zheng, why did you come just now? I was on the phone when I called you. Why didn't you answer my call? We are just ordinary classmates, why should I answer your call? At this stage, my goal is to concentrate on studying, and I don't want to talk about relationships between men and women. I'm sorry. Qin Zheng lowered his eyelids and nodded to Qiaoyan. He placed the fists on both sides of her thighs were clenched, but she still pretended to be expressionless as she finished speaking. The smile on Qiaoyan's face suddenly froze, and her hand that was originally reaching out to reach for Qin Zheng's arm froze in mid-air. Qin Zheng stepped out of the way, and she felt that the people around her were looking at her with ridicule. What happened? In just a few days, Qin Zheng has changed his attitude. Although the two of them have not formally said that they are dating, Qin Zheng said that he likes her, and the two of them held hands, kissed and did everything. Isn't this not dating? Hit. Why did Qin Zheng deny it? Could it be that he knew something? Thinking of Lu Yao asking if she and Shen Qi were dating, Qiaoyan felt a coldness rising from the soles of her feet. She pulled Lu Yao up without thinking and wanted to walk out. She wanted to ask all this. Ask and see what happened, hoping it's not what she thought, otherwise she won't dare to think about the consequences. Everyone in the box was so embarrassed that they didn't know what to say. They drank soda and ate fruit snacks without saying a word and only communicated with their eyes. After Qin Zheng denied dating Jiao Yin, his expression was calm, but his body was still tense. They are very tight. He is a face-loving person. After Jiao Yin cuckolded at him, the news spread all over the boys' dormitory. He actually really wanted to hide. He has always been outstanding since he was a child, and his appearance is worse than others. He is better at studying than others, and even in sports he is not inferior to others. The only two stains are that his college entrance examination scores are not as good as Lily's, and the other is Jiaoyan's problem. She was with Shen Qi behind his back, and still being discovered by others. No matter how much he likes Jiaoyan, this kind of thing is really unforgivable. If it weren't for the sake of face and fear that people would say he was a coward if he hid, he would have gone home long ago and would not have attended such a party. Fortunately, he is about to graduate from high school. I hope this matter will be resolved with the graduation of high school. Come to an end. After Lu Yao was pulled out by Jiaoyan, the two of them came back just before dinner time. Jiaoyan's eyes were red, while Lu Yao's expression was cold. She stared at Qin Zheng pitifully while eating, but Qin Zheng didn't do anything at all. Ignoring her, when the meal was over, everyone said they were going to sing, but Qin Zheng found an excuse to leave first. Jiaoyan saw him leaving and followed him. Lily was the protagonist today, and she originally wanted to leave, but I couldn't leave, so I went to the karaoke hall to sit with him for a while. When I left to go back to school, I saw two figures hugging each other in the shadow of the treetops by the door from a distance downstairs in the dormitory. The place was blocked by trees. There were few people in the school at this time. The senior class students were gathering outside, the surroundings were deserted, and no one noticed the two people hugging each other. At this time, one person was struggling desperately, while another tall figure used brute force to lift the girl's hand and kissed her hard. How dare you go behind my back and be with other men, Jiaoyan, don't think that you can escape from my grasp after studying and living in school. You are mine. Those domineering words. Lily, who originally didn't want to meddle in this nosy business and was about to turn around and leave, turned around and came back. She has not seen this man once in the 1 year since she entered the mission. This man is the one Nai Bei he has seen once in the plot. She thinks he is Jiaoyan's boyfriend. Because Lily was jealous of Jiaoyan's pestering Qin Zheng, she lost her mind and made her cry by saying that Jiaoyan had a boyfriend. In the end, not only did she become a troublemaker in the eyes of her classmates, but she also became a troublemaker in the eyes of her classmates. It brought a huge disaster to the Nai family. If it were anyone else, Lily wouldn't care, but since it was this man, she couldn't leave it alone. She remembered that not far from the gate of the girls' dormitory, someone had built a small staircase with bricks. It was placed by the reluctant boys after the men and women dating on campus had closed the door of the dormitory building, so that they could be seen when the teacher patrolled. After the dormitory, the reluctant lovers could still step on the bricks and talk to their girlfriends inside the wall through a wall. She ran quickly. The management of the dormitory would usually clean up the bricks, but the cleaning speed could never be as fast as when they were in love. The boys were placing bricks so fast that there were still some bricks there. Lily touched a piece and turned back, and the doggy man and woman were already twisted into a ball. Let go. It's my freedom to have a boyfriend. You have nothing to do with it, Jiao Yan bit her lip. These words triggered another intense and deep kiss from the man, who almost pushed her down under the tree. He stood up on the flower bed. You are mine here. You are mine for the first time. When you spread your legs and were not satisfied under me, did your boyfriend know? Does he know that your body is so hungry? Does he know where you are sensitive? Does he know that you and your little uncle are hugging each other right now? What do you want? I'm warning you, if you pester me like this again, I'll tell Grandpa, tell Dad. Xiaoyan seemed to be unable to bear it, and started struggling again. The man stopped for a while. And then gasped and shouted, "You can have a boyfriend if you want, I don't care, but you can't refuse me anymore, you must accompany me 5 times a week." To be continued. Carrot. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Cannon Fodder Strategy. Author, Juan Erwr. Chapter 784. No, 2 times at most. Xiaoyan hesitated for a moment. Just as he made his request, before the man could speak, Lily had quietly leaned towards the two of them. The two hugged each other, under the shadow. If someone else came over, they might not be able to see these two people. The man pressed Xiaoyan under him. Her petite body was almost hidden in the man's body. Only her 2 legs could be seen separated by the man's side. Her legs couldn't stop kicking, and the man lay on top of her, with his back facing Lily. He was busy negotiating terms with Xiaoyan at the moment, and didn't even notice Lily coming over. 2 times is too little. It can't satisfy me, and it can't satisfy you. I know your body, at least 4 times, the man was still bargaining, but Xiaoyan was already struggling, 3 times at most, no more. Otherwise, don't touch me and let go. She raised her foot and swiped at the man's head vigorously. Pervert. You dare to molest a female classmate downstairs in the girls' dormitory. I will take you to the police station today. The man reacted quickly. When he heard the sound of wind coming from his feet, he quickly turned his head. His hand that was originally restraining Xiaoyan was released. He was about to see who dared to disturb him at this time. But when he turned his head, no matter how fast his reaction was, it was not as fast as Lily. The man only felt a strong wind coming from his foot. When he wanted to hide, it was too late to get up. Bang with a sound, the foot swept hard on his face, causing his face to tilt to the side involuntarily. His tall body was knocked up by the kick. At the critical moment, there was no one under him except Xiaoyan. The thing could fix his body, and before he had time to think about who had the strength to kick him away, Lily's frightened and angry voice rang in his ears. His teeth were kicked loose, and the smell of blood came out of his mouth. Before he could say that he was not a pervert, Lily didn't give him a chance to speak. He picked up the brick and hit him on the head hard. There was a crisp sound of click, and the man didn't even hum. At that moment, he only felt a buzzing in his forehead and his head felt numb. Before the pain came, a wave of heat rushed down his face. There was a burst of stars in front of his eyes, and the brains in his head seemed to be smashed to pieces. His body flew half a meter high, and finally hit the yellow jujube tree in the middle of the flower bed. There was a crisp bang sound. Fortunately, the tree had already it is several decades old, otherwise it would have been broken by this collision. But even so, the tree tops swayed several times. The birds perched above were frightened and flew up with flapping wings, and the leaves fell straight down. Xiaoyan, who was originally suppressed at the edge of the marble flower bed, was almost petrified when she saw this situation. The skirt she was wearing at the moment had been lifted up. The top was pulled up high, and the underwear underneath was pushed up, revealing 2 white and tender semicircular breasts. She didn't expect such a change to happen, and she was shocked. She couldn't react in a daze at this time. Come, still maintaining the posture restrained by the man, staring at Lily. It wasn't until the man who was kicked by Lily hit a tree root and bounced back, and Gilu rolled to the edge of the flower bed, that she seemed to come back to her senses. He hurriedly stretched out his hands and started to straighten his clothes. The man couldn't help but roll down, trying hard to grab something to stabilize his body, but he didn't know if he was in a panic and couldn't react at all, or if Lily just hit him, which made him still dizzy at this time. He reached out and grabbed a handful of grass, but unfortunately he couldn't hold it steady in the end. He rolled along the flower bed and fell to the ground. Only when he hit the ground did he let out a groan. He stretched out his hand to cover his head. After touching the blood on his hand, he cursed. Who the hell dares to hit me? As soon as he spoke, the place where Lily had just kicked his cheek started to hurt. He took another breath and cursed again, with a look in his eyes. With a sinister look on her face, Lily was about to sit up when Lily had already thrown the brick, focusing on the man's calf bone. The man was hit by this, and it hit the bone. It was heartbreaking pain. Before he could move his foot, hugging him, Lily reached out and grabbed the hem of his clothes, and dragged him up directly. While dragging him, he reached out to touch his bag. "You dare to act like a gangster in the girls' dormitory, what's your name? I'm going to take you to the police station and accuse you of rape. Didn't you hear people say no? Are you bullying women because of your strong body?" Lily cursed. She wanted to take out her mobile phone to take some photos of the two people, but it was so dark under the treetops that even with a flash, she could take photos. But when she thought about what she just heard, it seemed that this man was having an affair with Jiaoyan. What's the relationship? She just took the photo and the two refused to admit it. They said it was a relative who whispered it, and she couldn't do anything about this man. But it was most likely this man who instigated people to poison Nai's supermarket. Lily was not willing to let him go, so she simply stopped taking pictures. As soon as she freed her hand, she punched the man in the face. She walked over and slapped the man until he groaned and struggled desperately. Then she opened her bow from left to right and slapped the man twice again. Xiao Yan arranged her clothes, her heart beating like a drum, and she straightened her hair. Her face felt as hot as fire. She was so panicked that she didn't expect anyone to come over. She didn't have time. After she calmed down, she heard that the voice speaking was Lily. Although she was surprised how Lily could appear here and happen to break the story between her and this man, she heard that Lily just misunderstood that this man wanted to molest her. That's it. She didn't hear the conversation between herself and this man just now, so she breathed a sigh of relief and said hurriedly, Okay, don't fight anymore." While she was talking, Lily had already used enough strength to beat the man until blood spurted out of his mouth and nose. Although he tried his best to resist, this little strength could not compare with Lily, who had been practicing martial arts for a year. What's more, he was hit with a brick by Lily just now, and his head was smashed. He struggled desperately in anger, and the blood flowed very fast. After a while, his strength weakened, and by the time when Xiaoyan found that he could no longer he was so frightened that he hurriedly stepped forward to pull Lily away. "Are you going to beat him to death?" Xiaoyan originally complained about this man. Her first love was taken by this demonic man 4 years ago. From then on, she always wanted to escape from him for several years. After she entered high school, after being with Qin Zheng, Xiaoyan thought that she had left the past. Unexpectedly, this man came out again and found out about her relationship with Qin Zheng. In anger, he threatened her to put her and him together. She told Qin Zheng what happened together. Now the relationship between her and Qin Zheng is still tense. Xiaoyan really likes Qin Zheng a little bit. She really doesn't want to give up on him. She was angry with him when she heard the man's threat, but she was soft-hearted. In the night, seeing the man's face being beaten with blood, and then thinking of his handsome and charming appearance in the memory, seeing him in such a mess for the first time, Xiaoyan had long since lost his temper. What's more, no matter how bad this man is, he is still her uncle and her man. Lily is different. Lily is just an ordinary classmate with whom she has a somewhat hostile relationship. Xiaoyan is naturally dissatisfied with Lily beating this man like this. If he just pulled away, but he didn't expect Lily to be so cruel. There was a cry in her voice, and she couldn't help shouting. "Does it hurt?" Lily shook her hand, letting out a breath of bad breath, and threw the man back to the ground as if breaking a bag. She curled her lips. It must have hurt. She knew how hard she had used it, and she almost wanted to. The man's cheekbones were almost cracked. He might not feel much pain due to the tension at the moment, but if he wanted to recover from the injury, it would take less than a month to fully recover. The man was thrown to the ground by her. He had no strength to struggle anymore and fell to the ground like a dead dog. Lily then pretended to recognize Xiaoyan and said in surprise, "Xiaoyan, why is it you?" She kicked the man, and Xiaoyan's tears were like broken beads. She was at a loss when she looked at the dying man. She didn't react when Lily spoke. "Come over. Although I don't like you, women have to resist when something like this happens. Does this man want to do you harm? It seems to me that he wants to rape you. Just call the police. I have the phone." "No, no, no, don't call the police." Xiaoyan was startled when she heard the alarm, and instinctively stopped her. If she called the police at that moment, the relationship between her uncle and herself would be exposed, and she would. "Your whole life is over. How can you still live in China? How does she face her parents? How does she face her grandparents?" Xiaoyan shook his head desperately. His heart almost stopped beating in fear, and he kept thinking about how to use his ideas to get rid of Lily's thoughts. Lily was waiting for her words. She just wanted to beat this man in vain and make him suffer, but couldn't say it. Just like the Nye family, who was poisoned at the beginning and suffered a big loss in the end. And even the person who poisoned it could not be found out. She was now going to take advantage of Xiaoyan's fear to make the beaten man swallow his knocked out front teeth and let him taste the unspeakable pain. "Don't call the police. Who is he to you? Are you defending him like this? Don't you have a boyfriend?" Lily asked, pretending to be curious. Xiaoyan was in a state of confusion at this moment. When she heard Lily ask herself, she thought seeing her beating this always high-spirited man into the state, she felt annoyed and angry, and said impatiently, "He is my friend, can you just leave it alone? You can go." To be continued. Cannon Fodder Strategy. Author, Juan ERWR. Chapter 785. "Oh, it turns out he is your friend. I thought he was going to do something bad to you. Seeing him groping you, you shouted no. Since he is your friend, you just said yes. Why did you say no?" "I hit the wrong person," Bai Li asked confidently, which made Xiaoyan speechless. Then she picked up the man on the ground again and said, "I was really unlucky to meet you. Yes, now it's me who beat him, so I'll take him to the hospital and I'll pay for the medical expenses." Xiaoyan's face turned pale and blue at Lily's words. For a moment, he couldn't tell whether she was ridiculing him or telling the truth. When he heard Lily said that she would pay for this man's medical expenses, Xiaoyan felt depressed and confused. It was anxiety. She was really afraid that Lily would go out and talk nonsense. Once things got serious, her life would be over. Now Qin Zheng has almost ignored her. After eating just now, she chased Qin Zheng out all the way, wanting Qin Zheng to listen to her explanation, but Qin Zheng didn't listen to her at all. Now she is still annoyed and doesn't want to make matters worse. If Lily drags this man to the hospital now, once the matter comes to light, and if she continues to speak out unabashedly about what this man is pressing on her, then she and Qin Zheng will be truly over, let alone this fatal person. As for the identity of the man, although everyone may not necessarily believe Lily's words, if this man is caught red-handed by her, and she has a bad reputation now, and she doesn't know why the matter between her and Shen Qi was exposed, I'm afraid everyone will believe Lily's. The chance is still very high. Xiaoyan can't take that risk. I said, can you just leave it alone? Do you have money to pay for medical expenses? Didn't something happen to your family? What are you going to use to compensate? You should worry about your college tuition, 1 year's tuition. It costs 5 or 6,000 anyway. Even if you pass the exam, can you afford it? Xiaoyan couldn't help but ask sharply. Lily had never thought that she would really compensate this man for his medical expenses, but she just wanted to let Xiaoyan say it himself. When she heard what she said, she threw the man she had just caught back to the ground and said with a cold face, "Just leave it alone. If a dog bites Lu Dongbin, he doesn't know a good heart. You don't want me to take care of it now. If anything happens in the future, don't ask me for medical expenses. Who is looking for you? Can I get money from you?" Xiaoyan hurriedly went to help the man. At first, the man came to her and raped her. She was angry, but seeing that he was beaten now in this way, she felt distressed again, and after answering angrily, Lily turned and left. Xiaoyan's anxious voice came from behind, asking if the man was okay. Lily sneered but ignored it, and went straight back to the dormitory. Xiaoyan did not come back that night. When the classmates in the dormitory came back from an appointment, they saw that Xiaoyan was not in the dormitory. At first, some people were reserved, but later they couldn't help but ask, "Did Xiaoyan and Qin Zheng get back together again? She left with Qin Zheng before, and she hasn't come back yet." After hearing this, Lu Yao's face was very ugly. She had already called Shen Qi to confirm. Although Shen Qi did not explicitly say that he and Xiaoyan had a relationship, even a fool could tell it from the tone of his voice. Lu Yao heard after Xiaoyan did something like this with Shen Qi, he went to find Qin Zheng again. His cousin's head was green, and he felt a little angry in his heart. "I'll call her and ask her. Does Lily know?" "She left earlier than you," the girl in the lower bunk asked. Lily pretended to be a little annoyed and sighed, "Don't mention it. I met Xiaoyan when I came back." Everyone listened to what she said. They were all very curious. Even Lu Yao, who was holding his mobile phone and preparing to call Xiaoyan, turned his head. Several girls had forgotten their previous cold relationship with Lily and urged her to speak quickly. Lily seemed to be reluctant to do so. "When I came back, I saw a man pushing a woman down beside the flower bed next to the dormitory building." The female classmate kept shouting no. "I thought someone had the audacity to sneak downstairs to the girls' dormitory and commit adultery. I took it. I picked up a brick and smashed the man's head, only to find out that the woman was Xiaoyan. She also said that the man was her friend and asked me to get out. I should have known better than to do such a good thing." After Lily finished speaking, she seemed to have some regrets. "I hit the wrong person, which was thankless. Now I don't know if they will ask me to compensate." "No way." "Who is that man?" someone asked. After all, Xiaoyan's innocent impression has been very deep on everyone, but in the past few days, it has been revealed that she was dating Qin Zheng but cheated on Shen Qi. But now that Shen Qi has left, Qin Zheng and Bei He should recognize it. It is impossible to say that it is a man. Could it be that Xiaoyan has another man? It seems that I saw one of her boyfriends before. I saw her kissing this man outside school before. The man was much older than her. He looked like he was 30 years old. But at that time I said, don't you believe it, what Nai Bei He saw was not wrong, but it was a pity that she had an unpleasant personality, and she told the truth at the most inappropriate time, so the final result was not only no one believed her, and instead she was isolated in the class. Now that Lily talked about it, the result would be different. The situation between Xiaoyan and Shen Qi originally broke her usual image of being simple and clean, but now she hears that when a man came out again, everyone was surprised, but not surprised. Lu Yao held the mobile phone tightly in her hand. When she heard the words 30s, her expression felt a little uncomfortable, and she couldn't help but ask, "What does that man look like? Do you remember?" She and Xiaoyan have been sisters for many years. They have been good friends since the first grade of junior high school. Their parents are also very familiar with each other. Qiao Yan's friendship is very simple. Logically speaking, if she really has such a close boyfriend, she is still so young. Big, she should know, so this is why Lu Yao didn't believe her after Nai Bei told the truth. After all, Lu Yao thinks that he knows Qiaoyan very well. He knows exactly who is around her. Qiaoyan is well protected by her family, because she is the only girl in the 3 generations of the Qiao family, and everyone in the family is he dotes on her and doesn't allow her to have a boyfriend. After 3 years of junior high school and high school, she got to know Shen Qi because of her. She had no chance to contact other men. Otherwise, the Qiao family would be able to take care of her without having to come forward. She was separated from men, so when Nai Bei said that Qiao Yan had a boyfriend and kissed her, Lu Yao thought that she was just spreading rumors to cause trouble. He was very dissatisfied with her and everyone in the joint dormitory ostracized her. If Lu Yao didn't know what was going on between Qiao Yan and Shen Qi when Lily said this, although Qiao Yan disappointed Lu Yao, she still had a clean and innocent image in Lu Yao's heart, but even if she knew about Qiao Yan and Shen Qi regarding Qi's matter, Lu Yao discovered that there was still a lot that she didn't know about this best friend she thought she knew. She was a little doubtful about what Lily said. She asked, originally thinking that Lily might have seen it wrong. After hearing her question, Lily laughed meaningfully. He is probably over 1.85 meters tall, with a rather thin figure and slender eyes. The more she described it, the more strange Lu Yao felt, especially at the end. Lily added, "Oh, by the way, he has a black mole the size of a mung bean under his right eyelid." When Lu Yao heard this, the hand holding the mobile phone shook. He could not hold the mobile phone firmly in his palm, and it fell to the ground with a snap. It fell to pieces and the battery inside fell out. She didn't know if the screen was broken, but she didn't care about it at all at the moment. When a classmate in the dormitory picked up the phone for her, she didn't take it. Instead, she asked anxiously, "Did you read that correctly? It was really a kiss? This is impossible. How could I see it wrong? I also hit that man tonight, so I could see clearly. Otherwise, I could see the mole under his eyelid clearly. It's because when I saw these two kissing for the first time, the man's I couldn't see clearly until I kissed her with my face crooked and my eyes closed." Seeing Lu Yao's appearance, Lily knew in her heart that Lu Yao already knew who the man was. She curled her lips and said, "My family owns a supermarket. When I was little, my dad would take me to the supermarket and would often take me to see people. He said that people with moles on their right eyelids would be successful in business, so I remember it very clearly." After Lily finished speaking, Lu Yao's face turned pale. Not only Lily remembers it clearly, but Lu Yao also remembers it very clearly. This person is Qiao Yan's uncle, Qiao Yaiwan. The genes of the 2 generations of the Qiao family are not bad, but in terms of appearance and career, Qiao Yaiwan is the best. As Qiao Yan's best friend in the past, Lu Yao was very familiar with the Qiao family. Speaking of Qiao Yan's little uncle, Lu Yao still remembered that he had made a joke to Qiao Yan, saying that her little uncle was good looking. Handsome. If he were 10 years younger, I'm afraid she would like him. This young uncle is 32 years old and has not married yet. He is tall and handsome. After graduating from college 10 years ago, he and a few friends set up a security company. Now he is considered successful in his career and is well known in the Qiao family area. Lu Yao is a golden bachelor who is not bad looking, but he has never had a girlfriend in these years. Lu Yao also heard his mother say that she wanted to introduce someone to him, but he refused. Sometimes when she was joking with Qiao Yan didn't want to talk about him. At that time, she just felt that Qiao Yan had a weird temper. After all, this little uncle was very good to Qiao Yan. He bought almost all her mobile phones, clothes and bags from him. Lu Yao had never done this in the past. After thinking about it, I just felt that the elders of Qiao's family were taking care of Qiao Yan. At this time, they discovered some truths. Looking back on it, I felt a little creepy. The person in the dormitory who originally handed her the mobile phone noticed something strange about Lu Yao, pushed her a little weirdly, and asked, "Yao Yao, what's wrong? Do you know this man?" To be continued. Canon Fodder Strategy. Author, Juan ERWR. Chapter 786. He is Xiao Yian's uncle. Lu Yao was in a daze at the moment. When someone asked someone, he instinctively told what he knew. As soon as she realized that something was wrong with what she said, she subconsciously reached out to cover her mouth. But just now everyone in the dormitory was waiting for her to speak, so it was very quiet. What she said was not whispered, everyone still heard it. The female classmate who handed the phone to Lu Yao was stunned. The phone she was holding could not hold it firmly this time and fell to the ground again. The phone she had just put together was once again broken into pieces. There was deathly silence in the dormitory for a long time. After a long time, a look of regret appeared on Lu Yao's face. She stared at the girls in the dormitory at a loss. Lily pulled the quilt to cover her face, holding back her laughter. What Lu Yao just said caused trouble, and now he was so regretful that his intestines were turning blue. Her character is just impulsive, not bad. Although she has been estranged from Xiao Yian this year, Lu Yao just doesn't want to be friends with Xiao Yian anymore, and she doesn't want to give Xiao Yian any love without seeing it with her own eyes. And caused trouble, but now the trouble came out of her mouth. No matter how arrogant Lu Yao was, he knew what impact what he just said would have on Xiao Yian if it spread. She was only 18 years old. The girl bit her lip and shook her head. It shouldn't be possible. Xiao Yian knows that it's her brother-in-law, so it shouldn't be possible. Maybe it's Lily and you've made a mistake. It's possible to see it wrong once, but it's impossible to see it wrong twice, right? Didn't Lily say that they were found doing it downstairs in the dormitory tonight? What happened? The classmates in the dormitory did not expect to hear such a loud noise. A piece of gossip. Everyone started talking about it. Is it true? Just call Xiaoyan and ask her where she is, and then ask if her uncle has gone to the hospital. Wouldn't you know? His head was broken by Lily. He must go to the hospital. That's right. What's more, if there's nothing wrong with her, why didn't Lily agree when she said she wanted to send her uncle to the hospital? Are you asking Lily to stay out of this matter? Everyone was talking about it, almost touching Xiao Yian's thoughts. It was revealed that Xiao Yian used to be innocent and kind, but she didn't expect that these revelations were exposed one after another. Everyone was very enthusiastic, and they had actually concluded that something ulterior happened between Xiao Yian and her uncle. Human imagination is endless. Sometimes, no matter how much you say, it is better to lead people to guess for themselves like now. The conclusions drawn will be more credible to others. Isn't it possible? After all, he is my uncle. Maybe I saw it wrong. Lily knew everyone's psychology well and deliberately made everyone believe that Xiao Yian might have some improper relationship with her uncle. He denied it. Her denial seemed to everyone to be a betrayal of the masses, and everyone couldn't help but retort, why is it impossible? Lu Yao can just call and ask. Everyone talked about their own reasoning, looking like they wanted to convince Lily. Finally, Lu Yao was encouraged to call Xiao Yian. However, Lu Yao's phone had just been dropped twice. At this time, there was something wrong with the screen, and the battery would not light up even after it was connected. Everyone was anxious, and some people couldn't help but take out the phone. He took out his phone card and motioned to Xiaoyan to call from the dormitory phone to ask. As soon as the call was connected, Xiaoyan's tired voice rang over there. Lu Yao felt weird and guilty at the same time. Asked. Xiaoyan. Where are you? Lu Yao, what's the matter? Xiao Yian felt exhausted tonight. First, Her affair with Shen Qi was discovered by Qin Zheng, who asked to break up. Then the man pestering her appeared and threatened her to separate from Qin Zheng. Next, the man was beaten by Lily again. In order to hide the fact that this was not a good thing, she took her uncle's cell phone and called several of his friends in the province and asked them to carry him to the hospital. At this moment, her little uncle was still getting stitches. He woke up, but he was seriously injured. Lily's punch on his face broke his nose. The doctor asked him if he had suffered any injuries. After a group of thugs were arrested, Qiaoyan did not dare to tell the truth. He only said that the two of them were in a car accident. Now he is still holding him back and refuses to leave. When he received a call from Lu Yao, Qiaoyan sounded a little impatient. I just want to ask you when you will go back. Let's go together. Since the third year of high school, Lu Yao has stopped going with Qiaoyan and avoided her. Now in order to find out the truth, she made a random conversation lie. When Qiaoyan heard her question, she couldn't help but get angry. You should leave first. I have something to do now and may stay in the province for 2 days. She had no one to go with before, but now she has to go with her at such a critical moment. Now that Qin Zheng's matter has not been resolved, and her uncle has been seriously injured, how can she leave? Qiaoyan was in a bad mood, and she instinctively felt that Lu Yao had ulterior motives in asking questions like this, so she spoke in a harsh tone. Lu Yao was always a bad-tempered person, and she started to feel a little uncomfortable because she revealed the identity of Uncle Qiaoyan. She felt guilty, so she couldn't be strong. Originally, she asked cautiously, but Qiaoyan's voice became louder unexpectedly. She felt unhappy and angry one after another. Where are you? I want to ask you how you are going to solve Shen Qi's matter. He is my brother. I have nothing to do with him. Don't make blind guesses. Qiaoyan was furious when he heard Shen Qi. If Shen Qi hadn't done something like that day, he wouldn't have been so soft-hearted to help him. And caused so much trouble in the end. When she thought about Qin Zheng ignoring her now, she felt aggrieved and wanted to cry. But at this time, Lu Yao wanted to mention Shen Qi to her. Qiaoyan said angrily, anything else? She wanted to hang up. Originally, Lu Yao didn't have the heart to ask about her and her uncle, but when she heard Qiaoyan's attitude, she became extremely angry. The bit of unbearable feeling she had in her heart disappeared, and she shouted loudly. Road. Let's talk about this face to face. Where are you? I'll come find you. No need. How dare Qiaoyan tell the truth? She also guarded against Lily talking about it after returning to the dormitory. Although it was dark at the time and she and her uncle spoke softly when they were entangled, Lily might not be able to see his face clearly or hear their voices. She was not afraid of 10,000, but afraid of the worst. She was really afraid that someone would find out about her after Lily returned to the dormitory and told Lu Yao, so she gave Lu Yao a perfunctory sentence, fearing that she would continue to ask, before Lu Yao could ask again. When she opened her mouth, she hurriedly said, I still have something to do, so hang up first. A busy tone came from the phone. Lu Yao's face turned pale and he wished he could smash the landline phone in his hand. She has known Qiaoyan for many years. Qiaoyan understands her character. She also knows Qiaoyan's personality. Now Qiaoyan's behavior is clearly that there is something wrong. She thinks that Qiaoyan may be with her uncle. Together, I thought about the past when Shen Qi regarded Qiaoyan as a goddess and did not dare to blaspheme at all. Later, she was seriously injured because of Qiaoyan and missed the college entrance examination. Now she has to join for Qiaoyan. Why go to the Special Police Academy to endure hardship? If it was in the past, Qiaoyan was worthy of him. Lu Yao would be happy if his friend could become his cousin-in-law. But the more she understood now, the more Lu Yao felt that Qiaoyan was not good enough for Shen Qi. Remembering Shen Qi's happy face when he took the plane yesterday, She got angry and called Shen Qi again and scolded her. He fooled him into forgetting about Jiaoyan, and ended up having a quarrel with Shen Qi on the phone. Lu Yao was so angry that he threw the phone and started to shed tears. "Shen Qi, you idiot," she cursed, and everyone comforted her. Jiaoyan did not come back that night. Good things didn't go out, but bad things spread thousands of miles. Almost all the classmates who stayed in the class knew about it the next day. Something happened between Jiaoyan and her uncle. Such taboo news is always very irritating. The whole school was almost excited. Fortunately, Jiaoyan was lucky. Most of the people in the school where she had already finished her final exam and went home. Otherwise, if it were the beginning of the school year, the school would probably dissuade her if they knew the news. Jiaoyan didn't know this. When her uncle let her go back to school, the school had already closed, and many people returned to their homes with gossip. Lily was working outside this summer as usual. She sent 20,000 yuan back to Nai's house. Nai's mother called her to show concern for her and asked her to leave more money for herself. Nai's father would be out in less than 2 years. Before the university started, Lily bought a ticket to the imperial capital 5 days in advance and completed the admission process. After the military training, she saw Qin Zheng in the school cafeteria. He chose a different major from Lily. Compared with high school, his hair was cut shorter and his expression looked much colder. He sat quietly at a table with no one sitting around him. The bustling of other tables made his place feel particularly deserted, as if he had suddenly become desolate. As if all his energy and self-esteem had been wiped out, he pursed his lips tightly when he saw Lily. The next moment he lowered his head and began to pick up the food. He clenched his fists, and veins were pulsing on the back of his hands. It was conceivable that he was not as quiet as he showed at this moment, and Lily had no intention of saying hello to him. Although the two were classmates in high school, 3 years later, the relationship was not really friendly, and they even turned against each other once because of Jiaoyan. She was not the Nai Bei who originally liked Qin Zheng, and she was not interested in his current downfall. She sat down in an outer corner. The weather was hot now, and places with air conditioning inside were the most popular. There were almost no people sitting in the outer areas where the solar energy was shining. As soon as she sat down, a figure rushed over in a panic. Coming in, like a gust of wind, it picked up some strands of Lily's hair tied into a ponytail. After looking at it, he rushed towards Qin Zheng. To be continued. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Canon Fodder Strategy. Author, Wan Erwr. Chapter 787. It was Jiaoyan who I hadn't seen for more than 2 months. She was also admitted to a university in the imperial capital. Although she and Qin Zheng were not in the same school, they were in the same place. When he saw her, Qin Zheng frowned. He got up, picked up his rice bowl and was about to leave. Jiaoyan caught up with him and shouted in panic. Qin Zheng, I only have you." There was a lot of noise all around. Although Jiaoyan's crying and fussing appearance while holding Qin Zheng's hand attracted the attention of some people nearby, many people just glanced at it, lowered their heads and started eating. Most of the people who can enter the school are super hard-working academics. Although they also like to watch the excitement, for these people, everyone pays more attention to time. In their opinion, there may be a relationship between Jiaoyan and Qin Zheng. It's just that the young lovers are having an awkward fight. It's not worth paying more attention to these two people. After all, there are a lot of things like this, so why are they wasting their time? Lily didn't want to see the farce between the two of them, so when she found out it was Jiaoyan, she lowered her head and started eating. However, her hearing was very good, so Qiaoyan's intermittent crying still reached her ears. Qiaoyan pulled Qin Zheng to admit her mistake to him, but it was okay if she didn't say this, but Qin Zheng's expression became even more ugly when she talked about it. Qin Zheng has rarely suffered such insults in his life. Growing up, he has good academic performance and good looks, and has always been someone others look up to. But because of Qiaoyan, his reputation was almost ruined. Qiaoyan and him having a relationship with Shen Qi after they were together was like a slap in the face. Qin Zheng originally thought that when he left the #1 middle school in the province, the matter was over. He thought that his shame could stay in his senior year of high school forever, but he didn't expect that Qiaoyan would come to the university again. She had been pestering him since before the semester started. Even after he changed his phone number, she could find his dormitory. Phone number. I'm here for dinner now. He thought that no one would know about his shameful past after his freshman year. Qin Zheng even originally planned to enroll in the major that Lily attended, but because Lily was an old classmate who knew the inside story, he gave up on himself. Specialties you are good at? He transferred to another department that he had not planned to study in the first place. He kept his head hidden and did not dare to face his old classmates again. This was already a very serious matter for Qin Zheng, but Qiaoyan came again and she still pestered him. Thinking that he wanted to get back together, Qin Zheng felt a burning pain on his face in public for a while, even if no one was staring at him. Do you understand or not? We have nothing to do with each other. When he said this, his tone was a little stiff. Did Qiaoyan understand that her relationship with Shen Qi was not just what she imagined? She just made a mistake. She also destroyed his self-esteem and pride, leaving him still living in the shadows and unable to raise his head. He was originally a confident and proud person. But now he doesn't even have the courage to look directly at Lily, his old classmate. Even if he likes Qiaoyan, there are some things that are far more important than feelings. No, no, how could we have nothing to do with each other? I was really wrong. I promise you, I won't do it again in the future. I didn't mean what happened to Shen Qi that day. It's just that because he is leaving. I think he is very pitiful, and I just want to help him. Qiaoyan wiped her tears, her big almond-like eyes red and swollen from crying, looking pitiful. But this behavior no longer arouses Qin Zheng's pity. If it were in the past, he would definitely hold Qiaoyan in his arms lovingly. But hearing that the reason why she and Shen Qi were together was so ridiculous, Qin Zheng suddenly began to wonder if he had a mental problem before. In Qiaoyan's opinion, such a serious matter was just because Shen Qi was pitiful and wanted to help him. Will there be other boys who are pitiful in the future? Will you help them like this? Qin Zheng's hand holding the chopsticks suddenly tightened, his jaw became stiff, and his body trembled slightly. He lowered his eyelids. Qin Zheng asked softly. It was September now, and the power of Kaihu was still there. However, Qin Zheng felt that his body was getting chills because he didn't know if it was because the air conditioner was turned on in the school cafeteria. Qiaoyan instinctively felt that something was wrong, so he shrunk his shoulders and looked at Qin Zheng cautiously. If you don't like it in the future, I won't do it anymore. Wouldn't it be okay if you don't like her? If she doesn't care, then for Qiaoyan, does she not care at all if something like this happens? Qin Zheng slapped his chopsticks on the table and stood up with the bowl in hand. Seeing that he was about to leave, Qiaoyan hurriedly wanted to hold his hand. He pushed Qiaoyan aside with force and whispered he drank, "Go away." What he actually wanted to scold Qiaoyan was to tell him to go away, but facing a girl he had been in love with for 2 years, he couldn't say such harsh and vicious words. Qiaoyan stared at him with tears in his eyes. While shaking his head, "Don't be so cruel to me. I can change it. I really can change it. I was wrong before. Let's start over. I promise not to contact Shen Qi again." She spoke in the blink of an eye, he saw Lily sitting at the outer edge of the canteen. Qiaoyan lowered her head. She also wanted to save face. Although she wanted to save Qin Zheng, when she saw Lily, there was a sense of shame. She didn't want Lily to see her in such a mess, so she begged in a low voice. If we have something to say, can we go out and talk? Find a quiet place, please. Most of the people around had finished their meal and left one after another. This was the peak time for the library to occupy seats, and no one was there. He didn't want to waste his already barren time in the cafeteria. If Qiaoyan hadn't caused trouble today, Qin Zheng would have been one of those people. He shook Qiaoyan's hand, but he couldn't lose. The body that used to be soft and attractive to him now felt as disgusting as a piece of rotten flesh sticking to his body. He took a deep breath and shook his head. No, I've made it clear to you that there is no possibility for us. I hope you won't come to me again. I didn't expect you to be such a superficial person. We have been together for 2 years. You should know that I am not like that. I don't want to. Qiaoyan's lips trembled when she saw how cruel he was. Could it be that is Shenqi that worthy of your concern? Qin Zheng, I always thought you loved me. Do you love only those superficial things? Is that layer of membrane so important to you? Yes, Qin Zheng's tone was light, but he replied firmly, I want to treat you with the most sincere attitude, and I hope you can treat me with the same attitude. When he said the word yes, the look on Qiaoyan's face was very wonderful. She seemed a little desperate and a little scared. Lily accidentally looked up and glanced at her, and saw her holding the bag. His hands tightened, obviously very excited inside. What's more, are you really just Shenqi? Qin Zheng originally didn't want to expose all this, but Qiaoyan pestered him so much that he couldn't stand it anymore. He knew what he wanted, and Qiaoyan his ideas were different from his. His so-called liking for her before was really because he didn't know her well enough. He only liked her in his imagination. In fact, he still hasn't been able to understand Qiaoyan clearly. She didn't want to say bad words and wanted to save some face for Qiaoyan, but at this moment she blamed herself for caring about her. Qin Zheng, no matter how good-tempered he was, couldn't help it anymore. I don't blame you for being hurt for other reasons, but do you? Are you really just Shenqi? What do you mean? Qiaoyan's body shook like chaff, her lips were a little blue, she glanced at Qin Zheng first, and then seemed to remember. He turned around and stared at Lily. Lily had finished eating and was about to pack up the dishes and wash them. Qiaoyan clenched his teeth. Qin Zheng chuckled, that's what it means literally. Qiaoyan, don't think of me as a fool. Do you know who else doesn't know about you and your uncle? It was spread all over the province's #1 middle school. Do you still want to treat me like a fool? How long will the fool keep playing? When Qin Zheng learned about Qiaoyan and Shenqi, he was in pain for a while. He originally thought that was the abyss of his most pain, but he didn't expect that there was a wave of more intense news waiting for him. He didn't want to face it that day. Qiaoyan left school one day early. The next day, a classmate from his dormitory who had something good called him directly at his home and told him the news with gloating. At that moment, Qin Zheng just felt that he wished he could die immediately. He was blind and he deserved to end up like this. Being laughed at now was something he asked for, but he didn't want to get stuck in Qiaoyan's mud again. If he got out now, even if his feet were dirty, it would be better than getting his whole body wet. You're talking nonsense. The look on Qiaoyan's face at this moment was like a panic after someone revealed the secret, as if she wanted to find a place to hide immediately. Her body was shaking violently, and she just kept mumbling. Shaking her head, you're talking nonsense, you're talking nonsense. Who did you listen to spread rumors? This is her biggest and most unbearable secret. Even in the past few years, under Qiaoyan's conquest, her body surrendered to him, but in her heart she wished she could stay away from him, Otherwise she would not fall in love with Qin Zheng. The relationship with Jiao Yiwan was what Jiao Yian was most afraid of being discovered. Although she usually pretended not to care, she was also afraid one day such a secret was known, but at such a sudden moment, the secret was revealed by Qin Zheng at lightning speed. Jiaoyan began to deny it instinctively. She kept shaking her head, thinking in her mind. Zhong desperately thought of excuses. To be continued. Canon Fodder Strategy. Author, Wan Erwr. Chapter 788. At this moment, Jiao Yian didn't dare to look into Qin Zheng's eyes because she was afraid of seeing the cold and frightening look on Qin Zheng's face. She turned her eyes around and suddenly saw Lily preparing to go out. Jiao Yian suddenly remembered. That day, that bastard Jiao Yiwan rushed to school after knowing that he had a boyfriend. When he saw her, he always wanted to do that with her regardless of the occasion or location. That day was no exception. Normally, next time, she would obey half-heartedly, but that day was different. Qin Zheng had just broken up with her that day, and Shen Qi's incident had ruined her reputation, so she had no intention. Jiao Yiwan threatened her to accompany him 5 times a week in the future. Jiao Yiwan Yian just wanted to exchange a few times a week for a stable relationship in the future. She originally thought that as long as Jiao Yiwan stopped disturbing her life, she would be able to stay together with Jiao Yiwan without telling Qin Zheng, so that she could kill 2 birds with 1 stone, but because before the terms were agreed upon, she started struggling, and was met by Lily. Jiao Yiwan was seriously injured by Lily, and his nose was broken. He rested in the hospital for a few days, and neither of them dared to shout after suffering a loss. Although Jiao Yiwan he said he would take revenge afterwards, but Jiaoyan didn't take it to heart. She originally thought that the matter would just go away, but she didn't expect that Qin Zheng would know about her and her uncle. She had always concealed it very well, and even her family didn't know about it. How did Qin Zheng know? Jiaoyan inevitably began to suspect that Lily heard something he shouldn't have heard when he defeated Jiao Yiwan that day, so he talked nonsense after going back. He didn't even ask her to pay for the medical expenses, but Lily went out and talked nonsense. Jiaoyan only felt chills on her back. At this time, she wanted to fight Lily. Lily had ruined her life. If even Qin Zheng knew about this, she couldn't believe what others would think of her if they knew about it. She couldn't even imagine how angry her parents and elders would be if they found out. Jiaoyan was furious when she thought that she might be like that by Lily in the future. Her body moved faster than the thoughts in her mind. When Lily stood up and was about to leave, she rushed towards Lily crazily. "Don't go. Lily Nai, you can't go, please speak clearly." Her originally beautiful face was a little distorted at this time, and her big bloodshot eyes showed hatred. She reached out to pull Lily's clothes, and her mouth. "What are you doing? Do you want to kill me?" she cried. He reached out and wanted to slap Lily. Several classmates who had not left in the cafeteria put down their chopsticks in surprise when they saw this scene. They originally thought that Qin Zheng and Jiao Yian were just an awkward couple, but they didn't expect that Jiao Yian would treat another girl like this. Pulling, this situation obviously attracted the attention of some students, and they all looked over. Lily just wanted to throw Jiao Yian away at first, but the girl had a lot of strength when she went crazy. Her fingernails almost dug into her own flesh. Lily grabbed her several times and asked her to let go, but she didn't care at all and wanted to slap herself. Lily couldn't help it anymore and held the unwashed lunchbox in her hand. He immediately punched her in the face. "Are you crazy?" Being hit by this, Jiaoyan cried even harder. She couldn't hold Lily at first, and finally started to tear Lily's clothes. "You are talking nonsense, you are hurting me. What do you know? What right do you have to talk nonsense in front of Qin Zheng? Do you think I don't know you like him? I knew it as early as the 2nd year of high school. You are shameless, you just wanted to destroy us. Women always have a super sensitive sixth sense when it comes to love rivals. Xiao Yan had long sensed that Lily Nai, who was in her sophomore year of high school, was always targeting her because she liked Qin Zheng, but she didn't say it out at that time. Just because she knew Qin Zheng's character, he didn't even know that Lily Nai liked him. Nai Beihe was beautiful and her family was in good condition. Xiao Yan didn't want to remind him. Although she knew that Qin Zheng might not like Nai Beihe, she thought it would be better if Qin Zheng was always so slow in matters of love, so I was holding back and didn't say anything until today I finally couldn't help but speak out. Behind him, Qin Zheng didn't expect that she would suddenly go crazy with Lily. Although it was a good time for him to take advantage of this opportunity to leave quickly, he thought about it, threw away his lunchbox and rushed over, reaching out to grab Xiao Yan's arm, frowned and shouted at her. "What are you doing? This matter has nothing to do with anyone else." He didn't like the feeling of attracting attention because of such a thing at all. Qin Zheng originally thought that the two of them could solve their own problems, but at this time, in Xiao Yan's mind, it was undoubtedly Qin Zheng who listened to Lily. He was provocative and wanted to break up with her. She couldn't stand it. She grabbed her bag and wanted to throw it at Lily. Lily couldn't bear it. She didn't provoke anyone in her entire meal, but now she was pulled. When the matter between Xiao Yan and Qin Zheng got involved, Xiao Yan wanted to hit her. Naturally, she would not just wait for Xiao Yan to hit her, so she slapped the back of Xiao Yan's hand and slapped her hand. When he saw that she wanted to raise her other hand, he reached out and pinched her wrist, and his face turned cold. "Are you crazy enough? Bah! Why do you make rumors about me? Why do you talk nonsense?" Xiao Yan's biggest secret was exposed, and she felt panic and fear. Her calves even began to twitch unnaturally, and she felt a chill. It came out from the solace of her feet, and soon her back was wet. "What rumors have I made about you? If you keep talking nonsense, don't blame me for being rude to you." Lily looked at her wrist, which had several nail marks scratched by her. She felt an unknown anger in her heart and pinched her. The hand on the wrist was harder. Xiao Yan's face turned pale, but he refused to admit defeat. "You said that my little uncle and I, Nai Beihe, you are shameless, you have an inappropriate relationship with Dad, you are young, slander me." Lily listened to her unscrupulous nonsense and slapped her face without thinking. There was a sharp snap sound, which made Xiao Yan's face turn to the side, and she sneered. "Get up, if you talk nonsense again, I will tear your mouth apart. First of all, I am not interested in who you have a relationship with. These shabby and dirty things, don't use them to taint my ears, let alone you. I don't even know who your little uncle is. Just like what Qin Zheng said at the beginning, if your heart is dirty, don't think that everyone in the world is as dirty as you." When she said these words, Lily had no intention of controlling her volume. After she finished speaking, she pushed Xiao Yan to the ground with all her strength. She sat dumbly. When the people around her heard the words "little uncle," their expressions were very serious. It was so wonderful that Xiao Yan felt as if everyone was laughing at her at this moment. She didn't dare to face the strange eyes of the world, and she didn't dare to think about the outcome. At this moment, Xiao Yan realized that she was impulsive. Just because Qin Zheng's words touched on what she was most afraid of, she instinctively went crazy. In addition, her relationship with her uncle Xiao Yaiwan that night was also exposed by Lily. When she found out, she thought Lily was causing trouble, but now Xiao Yan really remembered that Lily didn't know who her uncle was, and she didn't know anyone from the Nai family at all. Even if she saw the man that day, it's impossible to recognize him. At the critical moment, Xiao Yan's mind finally became smarter. She remembered one person, Lu Yao. The only one who could meet her classmates in school and her family was Lu Yao. She suddenly remembered that after Xiao Yaiwan was admitted to the hospital by Lily, Lu Yao had called her and asked her where she was. His tone at that time was very strange, but Jiao Yan didn't think much about it. She was upset at that time. Thinking about it at this time, I am afraid that Lu Yao knew something and what happened to Shen Qi, so he warned her. Originally Lily might not know about this, but because Qin Zheng's words stepped on her sore feet, she went crazy and told the matter in front of Lily, and Lily was in this university. Tell this. What to do next? The strange looks from the people around her seemed to be able to engulf Jiaoyan. Her teeth chattered. She couldn't think of any other way to solve this problem. She simply rolled her eyes, pretended to be humiliated, and fell down. Maybe if she fainted, everyone would think that Lily was bullying others. Maybe as long as she pretended to be weak, everyone would think that Lily had bullied her, and they would think that what Lily just said was all lies. In the second year of high school, everyone was like, he thinks Lily is very strong and doesn't believe what she says. At that time, after Lily discovered that she and her uncle were kissing, she used this trick to get through the difficulty. Jiaoyan just wants to get away at this time. She just hopes that her scandal will not be exposed. As for whether it will harm Lily, she really can't care so much. The Jiao family can't have such scandals. She doesn't dare. Thinking about the disappointed and shocked faces of her parents, she couldn't face the mocking and surprised eyes of others, so she could only do this. Ah, passed out, someone exclaimed, and some people were hurriedly shouting to call an ambulance. These people had long forgotten what Lily had just said about her relationship with her uncle. Jiao Yan jumped violently. Her heart relaxed a little, and her cheek muscles that were twitching with tension began to calm down a little. She closed her eyes tightly, her face was as pale as a clean white paper, and the blood vessels under her eyelids looked particularly special. Clear. She's passed out. Get me 5 bunches of garlic quickly. I'll give her artificial respiration after I eat it. Lily was so angry when she saw Xiao Yan's behavior. After so many missions, Xiao Yan's little disguise was just a trick in front of her. He could hide it from others but not from her. To be continued. Cannon Fodder Strategy. Author, Wan Erwr. Chapter 789. Her heartbeat, blood pressure, and rapid breathing proved that Jiao Yan had not really passed out. She also understood Jiao Yan's little thoughts. She just wanted to take advantage of this opportunity to escape. When the class started in the second semester of high school, during the event, when Nai Bei told her that she had a boyfriend, she cried so hard that she obviously fainted. However, Lu Yao helped her out at that time, and the whole class also let Nai Bei out of sympathy for her. Bei Kao Mobian suffered a loss, but Lily was not so easy to deal with at this moment. When she saw Xiaoyan like this, she shouted. When everyone around him heard this, the corners of his mouth twitched. Qin Zheng, who was standing nearby with a frown and a cold face, couldn't help but curl up his lips when he heard this. Xiaoyan's fingers on the ground suddenly moved. She moved, but she still lay still. When some classmates heard Lily's words, they understood that she intended to lie down on the ground. Otherwise, why would she need to eat 5 bunches of garlic? If Xiaoyan had not passed out, the smell in her mouth after eating garlic would kill her. But if Xiaoyan had really passed out, she would not be able to smell Lily whether she had eaten garlic or not. This is true. An irritating and sinister idea. Lily didn't want to kiss Xiaoyan at first, but seeing her pretending to be unconscious was really annoying. As soon as she finished speaking, a classmate in the cafeteria glanced at her. I ate chive pancakes for lunch. How about I come and give this classmate artificial respiration? This is a male classmate who wears glasses and looks a little thin. He originally saw Xiaoyan fainting and wanted to help her with the intention of saving her, but somehow, he said it out of nowhere. He finished speaking about eating chive pancakes. Everyone around him couldn't help laughing, and then he seemed to react and walked up to Xiaoyan. Lily turned her body sideways and clenched her fists. The male classmate first carefully straightened Xiaoyan's body. People around him had already called emergency services. He pinched Xiaoyan's mouth and blew in. It was obvious that Xiaoyan was not feeling well. Her body was tensed upright, and Lily could hear her heartbeat gradually getting faster, but she could bear it silently. Lily curled her lips, squatted down, and lifted up her hands. The spiritual power seemed to gently tap an acupuncture point of Xiaoyan inadvertently. "Is it useful?" she asked as if she was worried. From the outside, it seemed that the force she slapped on Xiaoyan was not very strong. But just because it was patted on the acupuncture points, and Lily used her spiritual power, the pain was sore and unbearable. Xiaoyan could just hold back the attack of her breath, but she didn't expect Lily to pat herself for a while. "I couldn't hold back the pain anymore, so I let out a groan. This hum doesn't matter." Just now, she was gritting her teeth and holding back, so she could use all her strength to hold back when the boy blew into her mouth. But now, once the tension in her body disappeared, she couldn't hold it back any longer. He opened his mouth with a wow and retched. The boy who gave her artificial respiration was originally giving her first aid very seriously, but he didn't expect her to react like this when she woke up. She sprayed saliva in her mouth in spite of the coldness. If a normal man and woman were kissing and caressing, it would be fine for them to be infected with each other's breath, but in this case, the boy instinctively opened his mouth and spat back the spittle. Then it was like a signal. Xiaoyan finally couldn't hold it back, and her heart was in turmoil. She only felt the taste in her mouth. She hated Lily now. She was crying and lying on the side, retching. She hadn't eaten anything in the past 2 days because of Qin Zheng's incident. At this moment, he was vomiting to the point of pouring out the yellow bile and water, and mentally scolded Lily like hell. Xiaoyan didn't know what hatred meant before. She just didn't like Lily Nai, but now she really hated her. After vomiting, before the people around her could react, she suddenly got up crying and ran out stumblingly. Qin Zheng is no longer entangled. Seeing her running away, Lily snorted and thanked the male classmate who took the initiative to help. The people around her gradually dispersed. When she was about to take her lunchbox and leave, Qin Zheng followed her and said seriously. He glanced at her. "Thank you." If Lily hadn't forced Xiaoyan away just now, I'm afraid she would still be clinging to him. Qin Zheng thought of how prejudiced he was against Lily because of Xiaoyan in the past, and he felt filled with emotion. Her conflict with you just now was a misunderstanding. Although the original owner has liked Qin Zheng for 2 years, he is not familiar with Qin Zheng. He was even in the same class for 2 years. As she caught up with him in the science class, I am afraid that in the original Qin Zheng's heart, he did not even remember what she looked like. Lily thought of the original owner and sighed in her heart. She shook her head, looked up and stared at Qin Zheng with squinted eyes. The young man's eyes were a little disappointed, completely different from the high-spirited and even arrogant look before. He seemed to have grown up overnight. Normally 10 years old. No, if she hadn't come to provoke me, I wouldn't have cared about her. Lily didn't want to care about the matter between Qin Zheng and Xiaoyan. The original owner liked him, but it didn't mean that Lily also liked him. Seeing Lily's cold eyebrows, Qin Zheng was in a daze and suddenly remembered what Xiaoyan had just blurted out about Lily liking him. He doesn't have much experience in relationships. Xiaoyan is his first love. He is not a person who can afford to play and is also quite slow when it comes to relationships. Lily Nai has liked him for 2 years before, but he actually doesn't feel that way at all. If he didn't come out, if Lily hadn't knocked down Lu Yao in the classroom that day, he might not remember Lily as a person. The girl raised her head. Her appearance was slightly more pure and beautiful than Xiaoyan's, but her light temperament was well blended with her sultry look, which made her beauty soothing. Qin Zheng suddenly felt that he didn't know why he had such a bad impression of Lily. He thought he liked a woman like Xiaoyan. In fact, it seemed that he was wrong. He licked his lips and nodded to Lily awkwardly. I'm going to go abroad next semester. He can't stay in China anymore. He has bad memories here, and his self-esteem doesn't allow him to stay here anymore. He wants to change the environment and fight for the next time. Qin Zheng, she didn't understand why she told Lily her plan, and Lily didn't understand either. She glanced at Qin Zheng in surprise. Congratulations. After saying that, she nodded politely to Qin Zheng with a reserved expression. He is also unfamiliar, not like an old friend who has been in the same class for 3 years, but as if he is just a stranger he meets on the road and is not even acquainted with. Then, I'll leave first if I have something to do. Qin Zheng himself didn't know why. He felt a little disappointed when he heard this. He didn't understand why he was disappointed. He just watched Lily walking further and further away. Every step she took was steady and powerful. He thought of Xiao Yi, who just ran away crying. And, he suddenly lowered his head and laughed. On the other end, Xiaoyan was a little scared when she ran out of the campus crying. The darkest corner of her heart was exposed in the sun. It would be okay if someone else knew about it, but why? Is it Qin Zheng? Qin Zheng was the first boy she fell in love with. She liked him so much that she knew her good friend Lu Yao was interested in him. She liked him so much that she knew Jiao Yaiwan was not easy to deal with. She couldn't care less and took the initiative to come forward. But it ended up like this. Feeling sad and thinking of Lu Yao, Xiaoyan was furious. She wiped away her tears, took out her cell phone bitterly, and dialed Lu Yao's number. Lu Yao quickly connected the phone, and Xiaoyan scolded him. Lu Yao, why are you talking nonsense? Why are you telling others that I have a relationship with my uncle? Do you have any evidence? I'm sorry. I used to regard you as a friend. Ever since Lu Yao blurted out the incident between Xiaoyan and her uncle, the girl had been feeling worried and guilty. It was not that she didn't know the seriousness of the matter. Although she didn't like Xiaoyan, the two of them they were once friends. No matter how much she disliked Xiaoyan, she never thought of forcing her to a dead end. She actually regretted it after she told the story about Xiaoyan and Xiao Yaiwan. Unfortunately, there is no regret in the world. Although the medicine was sold that day because of Shen Qi, she was angry with Xiaoyan about the incident, but when she got too angry, Lu Yao wanted to apologize to Xiaoyan, but she couldn't muster the courage to do so. Unexpectedly, Xiaoyan called her at this moment, and she wanted to apologize, but she heard Xiaoyan scolding her on the other end. A wave of bad anger surged up in my heart. Speaking of Lu Yao, he doesn't have a bad heart, but his personality is impulsive and irritable. Otherwise, she wouldn't have targeted Lily Nai just because Xiaoyan cried. She was originally at fault. If Xiaoyan cried twice, she might beg for mercy and the two of them could get back together, but Xiaoyan would accuse her as soon as he came. He had done so much and even harmed her cousin Shen Qi, which made Shen Qi's parents now. She had her own opinions, but she had never caused any trouble to Xiaoyan. Although she shouldn't talk about Xiaoyan and Xiao Yaiwan casually, what she told was the truth and not a lie. Xiaoyan was still so arrogant now. Lu Yao was furious, and he and Xiaoyan started arguing on the phone without even thinking about it. The two little girls broke up in a quarrel, and Xiaoyan hung up the phone, suddenly feeling isolated and helpless. She didn't dare to think about how her parents would feel when they knew about this, and she didn't dare to think about how she would go home to see her family in the future. She opened the phone book on her mobile phone and saw Xiao Yaiwan's phone number. She couldn't help but call it. After hearing this, she cried, "It's all your fault." After telling her everything she had encountered today, Xiao Yaiwan comforted her. "Don't worry, I'll solve it." He had a way to solve it. When Nai Bei dared to bully his woman, he even let Nai's father in. In prison, Lily is now even more aggressive and dares to bully Xiaoyan again. It seems that the accident at the Nye family has not caused Lily to suffer. Since the previous lesson was not enough, he will teach him another lesson. If the beast doesn't behave, he will beat it until it becomes obedient. To be continued. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Canon Fodder Strategy. Author, Juan ERWR. Chapter 790. Hearing Xiao Yiwan say that he would handle the matter, Xiaoyan's heart tightened at first, and then she breathed a sigh of relief. She didn't know what kind of method Xiao Yiwan had to solve this matter, but for Xiao Yan now, nothing reassures her more than hearing such a guarantee. She is like an ostrich now. It is best that things do not fall on her. She also hopes that Xiao Yiwan is as capable as he said, and can, after all the troubles have been settled, it is best for the parents at home not to know about it, and the classmates and friends will also suppress the matter, just like when Lily Nye said she had a boyfriend, no one believed Lily Nye in the end. Let it go. She couldn't afford the consequences of her reputation being ruined. She was still young, she had a great future, she was just 18, and her life had just started. She really couldn't ruin it when her life was just beginning to bloom. Xiao Yiwan on the other end of the phone had a gloomy face, and after thinking about it, he began to prepare to sell off his assets. After graduating from college, he started a security company with a few like-minded friends because of his good vision and skills. During those few years, he made a lot of money collecting debts from others. Now the company is becoming more and more popular. The company became more and more prosperous, and even later opened credit and cooperated with the government, and the company's future became better and better. The news that Xiao Yiwan wanted to sell his shares attracted the attention of several good friends, and they all asked him what happened. Xiao Yiwan thought of Xiao Yan's voice and helpless tone when she cried, and he felt murderous intent in his heart. In this line of work, it is impossible for him to be soft-hearted and soft-hearted. When the company was just starting from scratch, he had dealt with both black and white people, and he himself was not a benevolent person. He is unruly and uninhibited, and does not care about worldly ties. Money and other external possessions are not important to him. He started this company purely because he wanted to prove his strength. He just relied on his own ability to expand a world and provide Xiao Yan with a stable life in the future. He was very indifferent to family affection, but his heart melted when he saw Xiao Yan for the first time. Xiao Yan was just born when he was born. The first time he held her as an infant, Xiao Yiwan felt that this girl belonged to him. It was a gift given to him by his sister-in-law when he was born. She was the only soft spot in his heart. She was a member of the family. They all thought that he was particularly fond of Xiao Yan, the only girl. Because of this, his brother and sister-in-law had always taken good care of him. Xiao Yan had never missed anything since he was a child. When she was 14, he got her body through half force and half seduction, knowing that she was not happy with it, but later she began to enjoy it, because she became more and more beautiful, and more people coveted her. Over the past few years, she has been trained to be very sensitive, and he likes to see her smile in front of him. I like to see her cry in front of me. If she likes her, she will tell her everything and share it with him. When Lily Nye made her unhappy, it made him even more angry than when Lily Nye made Xiao Yiwan angry. This time, Lily dared to make Xiao Yan angry again. I heard that the person who beat him was Lily. He was planning to avenge the last time, but his little rabbit was afraid that the relationship between the two would be discovered by others. What was she afraid of? Sooner or later, he will prepare a way out for her, and he will be there for everything. Does she still think she can't protect her? But thanks to Lily. Now that the relationship was exposed, Xiao Yiwan didn't care. He was not ready to let go of Xiao Yan, although he had never thought of making the affair between the two public. But now that it's made public, Xiaoyan might be frightened. I couldn't stay here anymore, so I happened to go abroad with him. Once he went abroad, no one would know who the two of them were. They could be together openly, and he had made enough money over the years. After the company was sold, enough to support the two of them for a lifetime. She will live a happier life than any other woman. She is older than her and will think about everything for her thoughtfully. What does she not want to do? What about? Xiao Yiwan understands Xiao Yian's character. If no one forces her, she would definitely prefer to pretend that nothing has happened. But now she doesn't care so much. He wants to be the one who can force Xiao Yian out of her world. That person forced her to face the world head-on. Lily's trouble wasn't big enough. Since Xiaoyan said that someone already knew about the two of them, she couldn't keep it a secret anymore, so she might as well make the trouble bigger. By then Xiaoyan would have no way out, so she would definitely will follow him when he leaves, and there will be no relatives or comments, just two people. Xiao Yiwan gets excited when he thinks about the days after leaving the country. The company is in a period of potential development. Xiao Yiwan wants to sell the company's shares. Several partners are very surprised. They don't understand why Xiao Yiwan would make such a decision. They ask him the reason and whether he is in urgent need of money. If he is in urgent need of money, everyone will while thinking about a solution together. Xiao Yiwan just smiled slightly. I don't want to be trapped in China, I want to go out and have a try. He didn't care about the money or these things. He was going to take Xiaoyan away and start over in a place where no one knew them. But before that, he had to get rid of Xiaoyan's major worries so that she could breathe a sigh of relief. The sale of the company's shares went very smoothly, because the company is now running well, and several partners are willing to bid for it. What's more, these people have always had a good relationship with Xiao Yiwan. They were old classmates and have been doing business together for more than 10 years. Everyone was very familiar with each other, so these things were easily handled. As long as the legal process was completed and signed, the money would arrive in his account. He took advantage of this period to quietly take it. He and Xiaoyan's information was used to apply for immigration. With money in hand, it was easy to do things. While waiting for the procedures, Xiao Yiwan began to find someone to reveal his relationship with Xiao Yian in her school. At the same time, he also found some people who had put poison in Nai Beihi's home before. Personnel, he has many paths in this line of work and knows a lot of people. Many of these people are frequent visitors to prisons. They have sophisticated methods and strong anti-reconnaissance capabilities. They have had many interactions with the police, and these people are gangsters on the road and know the rules very well. As long as the money they pay out meets their requirements at one time, there will never be endless troubles. After Nai Beihi made Xiaoyan unhappy, Xiao Yiwan was looking for these people, and now he was also dealing with a Lily. He offered 3 million and asked them to kill Lily to death. The process was whatever they wanted, but the more miserable it was, the better. Be sure to express your anger for Xiaoyan, and ask them to kill both Nai's father and Nai's mother afterwards. He first transferred 1 million to the account of one of the leading people, and agreed to give the remaining 2 million after the project was completed, if they did well. If Lily is miserable enough to satisfy him, he may give him double the remaining money. Xiao Yiwan understands people's hearts very well. After he said this, those people will naturally work harder and harder for money. At this time, he was making calculations. Xiao Yian in the school was almost unable to stay any longer. For some reason, there were also classmates from the provincial No. 1 middle school in the new school. She called her uncle a few days ago. After asking him to solve Lily's matter, I originally thought that he would definitely solve it, but it has not been solved until now. On the contrary, because there are new students in the school who were admitted to the provincial No. 1 middle school, I don't know who is going to solve it in the school. The relationship between her and Xiao Yiwan was exposed, and now the whole school has spread this kind of sexy news. It was only then that Xiaoyan discovered that everyone in the provincial number 1 middle school might have known about her and Xiao Yiwan, and she began to feel scared. She didn't even dare to call her parents. She was afraid of seeing their disappointed eyes. She instinctively wanted to hide. She had not dared to go out to class for several days. She was afraid of seeing other people's strange eyes. Qin Zheng, the look and tone in her eyes when she was talking about being with her uncle made her feel like a black hole had been created in her heart, and the black hole was getting bigger and bigger. She began to hate Lu Yao and Lily. No one can be relied upon at this time. Xiao Yiwan, whom she had always wanted to hide from, became her spiritual support, and she began to cling to Xiao Yiwan. This was Xiao Yiwan's purpose, and naturally she began to feel elated by her entanglement. He began to propose to Xiao Yan that he would go abroad with her. The request to start over comes. If it were before, Xiao Yan would probably refuse. She likes Qin Zheng. She knows very well that the relationship between her and her uncle is not love. At most, it is just physical pleasure. The body that has been trained to be very sensitive by him cannot do without his provocation. She really wants to live. The person she wanted was not him, and she couldn't really be with Xiao Yiwan, but it was different now. Now that such a big thing had happened, it was obvious that she could no longer stay in school. She had no shame to see her family. Her parents had raised her like this. Big. Her uncles and cousins at home loved her so much. If they knew that she was shamelessly staying with Xiao Yiwan, I don't know what they would think of her. At this time, Xiao Yiwan's suggestion to go abroad became a life-saving straw for Xiao Yiwan. And felt a little excited. Baby Anan, after you go abroad, I will pamper you every day. No one knows who you are. You will just lie under your uncle every day and enjoy it slowly without so many worries. Aren't you happy? The person who offended you, little uncle will let them die miserably, aren't you willing? Xiao Yiwan coaxed softly like a devil. He was not ready to let Lily go, but since Xiao Yan had said that Lu Yao had offended her, he originally thought that Lu Yao could drive her away by following Xiao Yan. She has many suitors, so she is a little tolerant to her, but now that she has offended her little baby, this obstacle must be removed. Anyway, killing one person is killing, and killing two people is also killing, let alone when the time comes when those people kill someone, the police may not be able to find the murderer. Even if they find the murderer, and those people confess him, by then he is already abroad, what can the domestic police do to him? Thinking of this, Xiao Yiwan laughed loudly. He will not let go of anyone who has offended Xiao Yan, including the boy named Qin, and even Shen Qi who has touched Xiao Yan, they will all die. Although Xiao Yiwan didn't say what method he would use to vent his anger, Xiao Yan was not a fool. She could vaguely guess it, but she instinctively didn't want to think about it at the moment. She also hated Lu Yao and Lily in her heart. Now going abroad has become her only way out. She can't control the consequences of Lily and Lu Yao. What's more, even though her uncle taught them a lesson, she was forced to go abroad by them. This is just retaliation. Just repay. But Xiao Yan thought about it and asked Xiao Yiwan for 20,000 yuan and saved it. Xiao Yiwan has always been generous to her. When she said she wanted money, he transferred 100,000 yuan to her account without thinking. The two of them reached a preliminary understanding of going abroad and agreed to wait until the end of this month to get their passports. After that, they made an appointment to meet at the Imperial Capital International Airport. The time and place were agreed upon, and Xiao Yan felt much more at ease. And Lily always feels like she's being followed recently. After practicing martial arts, her 5 senses are very sensitive. What's more, she has many mission experiences and can feel that someone is watching her from a distance. Especially when she enters the library, she can feel the feeling of being watched, which is even more, it's obvious. Lily Nye's original life was very simple. After entering the mission, she had never offended anyone except Jiaoyan. Who would spend so much effort to deal with her? Lily could guess without inferring that the person behind the poisoning in Nye's supermarket had not yet been found. But it was obviously related to Jiaoyan. This time it was very likely that those people came to the door again, but this time they were not dealing with Father Nye and Mother Nye, but themselves. Not long after the military training, when Jiaoyan came to the school to ask Qin Zheng to get back together, Qin Zheng rejected her. Jiaoyan made a scene with her at that time. This was probably the reason why she made the people behind her unhappy. Now I am ready to take action against myself. When Lily found out that someone was following her, she first called Nye's mother. She was safe there for the time being. She didn't seem to have encountered anything weird or found anything wrong. Obviously, these people found the target first. It's her, thankfully. Nothing happened to Nye's mother. Now that Lily was being targeted, she even began to wonder if the original death of Nye's mother in the plot was caused by the person behind Xiaoyan. Just failed to know the truth. She asked Mother Nye to live in a crowded place and not to go out alone. She told her to call the police directly if something happened. At this time, she became the target of these people. If these people were planning to deal with her first, Lily would not prepare to bring disaster to Nye's mother. Eat, read, and study every day. Those behind the scenes have no intention of taking action. As if they were trying to figure out her rules, these people seemed to be very skilled in their methods. They didn't look like they were first-time offenders. Their calm appearance was indeed quite skillful. In this way, Lily remembered the failure to catch the mastermind behind the incident at Nye's supermarket, and became more and more certain that this group of well-trained people might be the same people as last time. She deliberately let these people understand the rules of her life. Originally, Lily's life consisted of eating, going to class, going to the library, and spending the rest of the time going back to the dormitory. It was very monotonous and boring. She originally planned to find a tutoring job, but because these things were naturally put aside. This group of people followed her for 10 days, and saw that it was already the 28th of the end of the month. She came out after evening self-study with her books in her arms. There were not many people who attended evening self-study in the university. They were here and there. When the wind blew outside, there was a sense of tension that a storm was coming, and the surroundings were deserted. Not far away was a large sycamore forest. The leaves rustled when the wind blew, and the dim lights under the tree-lined paths illuminated a few points. There were not many students coming and going. Due to departmental reasons, many people were either looking for information in the library or in the laboratory at this time. When she went out, the surroundings were so quiet that she could only hear herself. The sound of footsteps as you walk. There are infrared scans everywhere in the school, but machines are dead, and people are always alive. Several people dressed as students came over here. One of them was a tall and thin woman wearing a long skirt. Even the clothes were the same as what she was wearing today. They were exactly the same, with slightly curly long hair, their heads lowered, and their faces could not be seen clearly. But when Lily saw her Adam's apple hidden in the shadows and her fake breasts that were a little overstuffed, she became aware of it. Several people walked towards the side chatting and laughing. When they passed by Lily, they separated. The moment she passed through, someone on both sides grabbed her hands. It seemed that they were very experienced in their methods. Her pulse was seized and she was unable to struggle quickly. A handkerchief was stained with something and was covered on Lily's nose. Lily instinctively wanted to catch these people with her backhand, but the next moment she relaxed her body. He came down, held his breath, pretended to be helpless to resist, and leaned softly on the shoulder of one of the men. The four of them had a tacit understanding. They didn't say anything after they succeeded, and walked away separately. Lily only felt someone put long curly hair on her body, and a rustling sound came from over there. She allowed these people to pull her out of the school. "Let's go," Lily began to sneer. She also wanted to avenge the Nye family. She also wanted to take action, but she just couldn't find the opportunity. Now is the right time. These people have sophisticated criminal methods. Since they have spent so much time to deal with her in the early stage, after spending so much time and monitoring her for such a long time, the place to find and deal with her must be very open. It just so happened that she could borrow the fruits of their labor to settle these old and new accounts together. A black business car parked dozens of meters outside the school. When the car door was opened, Lily was pushed in with force. Within 2 minutes, people got on the car one after another. The person who came back later cursed. "It's so hot." The air conditioner in the car was quickly turned on, but the car did not leave immediately until half a quarter of an hour later. Someone pushed someone into the car again. Then the big man pretending to be a woman also squeezed in. He was wearing a long straight black wig similar to Lily's. Now he carefully took it off, and also took off the stockings and high heels on his legs. The person in front started to start the car. "Lao Gao, why are you back so late? This kid is smart and reacts quickly. I almost lost him." It took me a while. As he spoke, he unscrewed the cap of the mineral water bottle, took a handkerchief and began to wipe the foundation and lipstick on his face. "Come on," the person in front didn't speak anymore, and the car drove away quickly. Taking into account the shaking of the car when it started moving, Lily carefully adjusted her position so that she could lie more comfortably. Only then did he start to close his eyes and rest his mind. She has been practicing martial arts for more than a year. Now, with the increase in her force value and her base of STAR training skills, it is almost not a problem to deal with these people, even if the other party has a gun. It can hurt her, but it is difficult to kill her. What's more, in this place in the capital, no matter how powerful these gangsters are, they can't be arrogant enough to use guns against people. If the person behind Xiaoyan really had so many abilities, there would be no need to make so many preparations for kidnapping her. A truly powerful person would probably be able to block the news and prevent it from leaking out even if he killed her, that is, someone who is semi-foreign and not local. The most time-consuming. Listening to the noise outside, it was still busy at first. After being stuck in a traffic jam in Beijing for more than 2 hours, in order to prevent her from waking up, the big man next to her covered her mouth with a handkerchief for a while to ensure that she couldn't wake up. Then he did the same thing to the other unlucky guy next to him and drove out. After entering the traffic jam in the main city, the night gradually deepened, and things became smoother outside. Lily could vaguely feel that she had left the city, and the car drove faster and faster. After about 2 hours, it became quieter and quieter outside, and the car turned left and right. Yes, stopped. The person in the front passenger seat got out of the car first, and the door was opened. The big man in the back folded his fingers and made a few click sounds before a few people started to laugh. "I've got another few million, so I'll take pictures more carefully later, lest Xiaotiou doesn't admit it." Several of them were old men who were accustomed to cooperation. They didn't know anything about this, so they all nodded. Someone grabbed Lily's hair and tried to drag her out of the car. The force was not weak. Lily clenched her fists and someone said, "Be careful, old gal. I won't wake anyone up before I go in later. It won't be good to cause trouble." "What are you afraid of? This abandoned factory area is in the wilderness. We came here to explore for half a month. Not even a sparrow came all day long." Even if she screamed, "Who could come over?" he also stretched out his hand to drag down another person who was also tied up. The person groaned, and Lily heard something familiar. It was Qin Zheng's voice. Although the man called Lao Gao didn't take it seriously, he restrained himself a bit and changed the action of pulling Lily's hair to grabbing her arm, picked her up, and walked inside. Because of the angle, Lily could open her eyes. This was indeed an abandoned old factory that had not yet been demolished. Although there were no lights inside, she could still see many dusty abandoned instruments because of her good eyesight. After China's reform and opening up, these pioneering factories were gradually abandoned because of too much pollution, and because of their poor location, they have not been planned and developed. In the past, because of too much pollution, this large area should have been it was a factory area, so there were no households living there. This time, the person who kidnapped her had indeed put a lot of effort into finding a good place. There is also a basement inside the factory. If there is a fuss later, even if Lily screams, she may not be able to hear it outside. From a distance, lights can be seen underground. Several kidnappers are a little excited. He quickened his pace. To be continued. Cannon Fodder Strategy. Author, Juan ERWR. Chapter 791. There are no other people here, and I'm not afraid if I get killed. When the time comes, I'll put the body in a bag and throw it in a corner. As long as I'm careful not to leave fingerprints, this place won't be demolished for 10 or 8 years. When it's discovered in the future, will I also took the money to go abroad? Someone pulled out a cigarette, Lily smelled the smoke on her nose, and several people started laughing, their voices filled with longing. From the words of the speaker, when Lily heard the word yeah, she understood that someone was preparing to go abroad, and it was most likely the Jiao mentioned in these people's words, which was related to Jiaoyan. Whose surname is Jiao, her identity is very easy to guess. There is almost an 80% chance that it is Jiaoyan's uncle who had an affair with her. As for whether it is true or not, Lily needs to verify it. She raised her head, but before she could do anything, the big man carrying her laughed. Hey, she's awake, so there's no need to work harder to wake her up. Do you like it here? Lily asked. The big men didn't expect that she was not afraid of being caught here. Instead, they asked themselves and others if they liked it here. They couldn't help but laugh. Then do you like it? The big man carrying her asked back. He wanted to throw Lily to the ground at the next moment, but unexpectedly Lily nodded. I like it, as you said, there are no other people here, and you are not afraid if you kill someone. When the time comes, you can put the body in a bag and throw it in the corner. As long as you are careful not to leave fingerprints, this place has been here for 10 or 8 years. If you can't be demolished, you will be nothing more than withered bones when you are discovered in the future. Lily laughed softly, and when the surroundings were quiet, she repeated what the others had just said in a calm voice. It gave people an inexplicable feeling of eeriness. The big man cursed, and Lily suddenly grabbed the waist of his trousers with her backhand. Her lower body, which was originally resting on the shoulders of the big man, was lifted up and turned back. Her body was soft, and when she turned around and stepped on the ground with her feet, her upper body still maintained its previous drooping posture. This moment was as fast as lightning. The next moment the big man instinctively came to catch her. She had already gently picked up the big man and smashed him to the ground with all her strength. With a bang, the big man was hit so hard that his limbs seemed to fall apart. Lily adjusted his clothes while he was struggling to get up. Several people around him were a little stunned, and the big man said something. Come on. She lowered her waist and caught the big man's thigh in her palm. She lifted it up and smashed it on the ground dozens of times. The sound of bang 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 came from the big man's mouth. At first, he moaned and screamed, but then he gradually became unable to speak. After making a sound, his head seemed to bloom, red and white all over the floor. His brains were splattered everywhere, and black and red blood was flowing out of his 7 orifices. There was still foundation that had not been wiped clean on the man's face. His face was so white that it was so white, coupled with the blood, it gave people an inexplicable feeling of terror. Okay, now I give you two choices. One is to tell the mastermind behind the scenes and the person who poisoned the Nye family. After she said this, she smiled slightly, with a somewhat reserved expression. Since you kidnapped, he followed me for such a long time. He should know the Nye family, so don't lie to me. Just now she smashed a big man to death in such a brutal way with just a few movements of her hands, but now she smiled as if nothing had happened. The expressions of everyone who originally thought this business was going to be easy changed. This time because the order is not small. Xiao Yiwan paid 3 million to buy the lives of 3 people in the Nye family, because Xiao Yiwan hated Lily the most. So they were asked to deal with Lily first. In order to ensure that this business was safe, everyone was prepared to quit Jinping after this deal and the money. Therefore, they were particularly cautious. In order to avoid trouble, they also invited several colleagues to come over. In addition to the 4 people who went to kidnap people, there were 3 people left in this abandoned factory. There were 7 people in total, but 1 person left in the blink of an eye. The girl who beat the person to death seemed to have no effort at all. How about this? Can it not be scary? The remaining 6 people felt chills on their backs and swallowed their saliva. They instinctively moved closer and stared at Lily warily. The person who was originally holding Qin Zheng also threw him to the ground and ignored him. If you reveal the mastermind behind the scenes, I can make your death easier, Lily said, tilting her head. How about it? Go. The group of people heard Lily say that she wanted them to die more easily, as if they had become fish meat on the cutting board. Although they had just seen her beating the old man to death easily, they heard they had to deal with the 6 of them, but they couldn't help but laugh. They had checked Lily's details and knew that there were rumors that she had beaten Shen Qi with one enemy, but a superficial boy like Shen Qi couldn't compare with them. Using people's money to eliminate disasters, although Lily's performance just now was terrible, no one thought that she was really that capable as a girl, not to mention that Xiao Yiwan was even more difficult to deal with. Xiao Yiwan had connections in both black and white. If he recruits him, that man is not a soft-hearted bodhisattva. Instead of angering him, it would be better to fight Lily. Lily sighed when she saw the group's choices. Forget it if they don't say it now. Anyway, some people are like that. They won't shed tears until they see the coffin. I originally wanted them to say it earlier to avoid suffering, but since these people don't say it, it will be the same thing if they say it later when they are beaten until they beg for mercy. Now this group of people don't know her details and will not take the initiative to escape at this time. Lily has paid attention to this factory. It is a very wide area with exits everywhere. It is not like the alleys where she taught Shen Qi and others a lesson. Once these people, if she felt something was wrong and ran away later, it would really take a lot of effort to catch her back. Lily stood carefully next to the body, closed her eyes, and began to use her spiritual power to feel if there were anyone else around. Existing, except for one Qin Zheng, there really was no other living person within a few dozen meters around. Then she no longer scrupled, and grabbed the first person who bullied her with her backhand, folded his arm with a quick movement, and held him tight. Then he kicked his knee to pieces. All this happened so fast. Before the man could react, or even open his eyes and want to scream, Lily had already grabbed his belt, yanked hard, and threw the half-crippled man away. The belt in her hand was like a long whip, and she rolled a person to her side. She wrapped it around her neck and tightened it hard, making a click sound of bones breaking. The man's eyes almost popped out of their sockets, and his nostrils began to bleed. Feeling that he was about to run out of breath, Lily threw him aside. He was spared his life. After knocking down 2 of them easily, the remaining 4 hesitated a little when they saw her vicious killing methods, and some even drew out their knives. Originally, these people were not so ready to use the knife. After all, Xiao Yiwan said that he wanted to torture her, and it had already reached this point. If he just stabbed her to death with a knife, Xiao Yaiwan might not be able to make a difference. They still wanted to get the money, but seeing that Lily was fine and the people on their side were killed and 2 wounded in an instant, these people couldn't wait any longer. No matter how good it is to have money, you still have to save your life to spend it. They didn't care about Xiao Yaiwan's instructions, but the knife didn't bring them any benefit. When the knife was slashed out, Lily even dodged it nimbly. How could a normal person avoid a knife? Several people wanted to laugh, but the next moment they couldn't laugh anymore. Because Lily was not only able to dodge the knife, she even lightly tapped the knife with her fingers, but the pressure on the person holding the knife was like a huge force, making the person unable to hold the handle of the knife anymore. She quickly eliminated the 2 of them, and these 2 people broke their hamstrings, and the remaining 2 people didn't dare to stay any longer. They wanted to run away while Lily was picking their hamstrings. Now, how could Lily let these 2 people escape? She curled her lips. She kicked the corpse of Lao Gao who had just been killed by her on the ground. The corpse flew towards one of the people who was running away, and hit him with a bang. The force was so huge that the person who was hit was like a bowling ball being hit. He took 2 or 3 steps forward and was finally crushed by a corpse. Lily chased another person and crushed his knee. It's really annoying. I have to do it in the end, Lily snorted coldly and knocked down these people respectively. Then she caught one of them, forced him to pick up the knife, and held his hand while living. The 6 people who came down had wounds on their bodies. Today is the time for our brothers to admit defeat. Please let us live. I will tell you the mastermind behind the scenes. The big man who finally got up from the dead body trembled and said. The scene he just saw is in real life. It was impossible to happen, but he didn't expect it to happen. He was too nervous at the moment, and a shadow called death shrouded his head, making him tremble all over, and he could no longer feel the wound on his stomach. No more pain. Now, do you think you can still survive? Killing 1 person is killing, and killing 7 people is also killing. When Lily entered this place, she never thought of letting these people go. After dragging them together and arranging them side by side, they took out a bottle from their arms. This was the powder she had been collecting since she felt someone was following her. She could make poison and attract insects. She first sprinkled it on the big man who had a belt around his neck, and sat down after a while. At first, a few people didn't realize what she meant by doing this, but summer is the season when mosquitoes flourish, and the remote location here means that there are even more bugs. Attracted by the powder, they all began to crawling over this way. There were a few at first, but later, they came in groups. The scene was very scary. Stimulated by the powder, the bugs became violent and not only began to burrow into the man's body, but even began to devour his body. He screamed and his cheeks began to twist. You can imagine how painful it was. The people around him didn't expect Lily to use such evil methods, and they suddenly broke out in a cold sweat. In less than 10 days, these bugs will eat your corpse cleanly. I will let them start from the least fatal place, and finally eat your brain. In half a month, here there will only be a few withered bones left, and no one will know that you died here. Lily explained a few words, and then asked, okay, now tell me who is the mastermind behind the scenes, and I will give him pleasure. If anyone says whoever gets the most details will die first. As soon as she finished speaking, looks of despair appeared on the faces of the remaining people. Think clearly, is Xiao Yaiwan worth the torture for you? There are many ways I can make you survive or die. Who wants to start talking now? Lily knocked on the bottle and began to pour medicine on the others. When people feel bugs crawling on their bodies, they can't help it. They are not afraid of the police or committing crimes, and they even regard human life as trivial for money. However, evil people have their own evil, and what they are afraid of is people like Lily who are fierce in their methods. In the end, the man who was crawling with bugs couldn't bear it any longer and spoke quickly. Xiao Yaiwan gave us 2 million to poison Nai's supermarket. he finished. After a pause, the veins on his forehead popped out, and he was obviously in great pain. This time we are offered 3 million to let us. I don't want to hear these nonsense that I already know. Lily glanced at him impatiently, and the person next to him started to speak. There are transaction records. He put money into our card, and I kept the needle that was used for poisoning last time. Yes, the money for buying drugs was transferred directly from Jiao Yiwan's account. You can check. These people are not stupid either. Jiao Yiwan was cruel and ruthless. Although he never thought of using this matter to blackmail him, everyone was on guard against being silenced by him. They all kept their secrets and everyone talked about what Jiao Yiwan had done. When I came out, I just wanted to have a good time. I even told the secret of my account name and the card I brought with me in the car. When she had almost finished asking all the questions, Lily broke the necks of these people and made them die happily. The insects were still crawling densely on these people, and there were more and more of them. Lily stood up and glanced at Qin Zhen not far away. Have you finished listening? I won't say it. Qin Zhen was still calm at this time. He didn't know why such a sentence suddenly came out. When Lily heard this, she couldn't help but laugh. She was not afraid of Qin Zhen at all. In her eyes, Qin Zhen was just a person who could be killed or not. He just said it. Would anyone believe it? I really won't say it. Qin Zhen licked his lips. He actually woke up half a quarter of an hour ago and saw how Lily defeated these people. I saw how Lily threatened them to tell them about Jiao Yiwan. Only then did he realize that what happened to the Nai family was also related to the Jiao family. He was not without shock, but he didn't know why. At this moment, he didn't instinctively feel scared and wanted to run away, but promised Lily that he would not tell anything about today's events. The boy's eyes were sincere and firm. Lily almost believed him, but just because he wouldn't say it now, it didn't mean that he wouldn't say it in the future. Lily thought for a while. Want to live? Qin Zhen was just an unrelated passerby. If he really didn't tell, it was not impossible to spare his life, but Lily didn't believe him, so she planned to feed him something to eat in 2 days. Qin Zhen hesitated for a moment and bit his lip. It's not whether I want to live or not, but whether you let me live or not. Lily thought of the cold young man in the heart of the original owner. Now she was talking about whether she wanted him to live or not with a strangely calm expression. Half a month ago, he was still talking about going abroad. Lily hesitated and nodded. Wait. She cleaned up all the things related to her here and sprinkled all the medicine on these corpses. There were more and more bugs. She picked up her phone and took a few photos of Lao Gao and others. Then he bit his hands and shed some blood on the body. Then he grabbed Qin Zhen and started running out. I don't have a driver's license, do you? Although he knew it was not the right time to laugh, Qin Zhen still couldn't help but want to laugh. A girl who was so murderous was worried about whether she could drive without a license. He couldn't understand Lily anymore. Just like in the past, he had never understood that his old classmate had martial arts skills. Maybe he had never understood women. Sure enough, there were bank cards and laptops in the car. According to the confessions of those people just now, Lily turned on the computer and saw Jiao Yiwan's transfer records. Jiao Yiwan didn't trust others when doing such things, and was afraid of falling into someone else's hands. So the account was debited from his account. When the account was debited, this account did have a record of purchasing poison. She found the evidence and used the mailbox on the computer to send it to the local police station. In order to prevent anyone behind Jiao Yiwan, she also registered Weibo using this email address and sent another copy of the evidence to the police Weibo account. She was fully prepared for how Jiao Yiwan bought murder, how the murderer poisoned people, and the account number used to buy the poison and other evidence. As for the reason, she also wrote it down. There was an affair between Jiao Yiwan and Jiao Yin. Lily Nai accidentally discovered that the Nai family had just been framed. If it had not attracted attention on the Weibo platform, I am afraid that the email sent by Behe would not have attracted the attention of the police immediately. However, because the poisoning case in Nyejia supermarket was quite shocking at first, now that the truth of the matter has been revealed, it will soon it attracted the attention of netizens, and the police began to pay attention to it. The evidence was conclusive. After a long night of tossing, the sky gradually became brighter. Xiao Yiwan didn't know what was going on online. He had already booked a flight for 2 hours. He just wanted to wait until Lao Gao and others sent the photos of Lily's murder. Then he and Xiao Yian could fly far away. He had even imagined the beautiful life he would have with Xiao Yian after they got married, and he couldn't help but laugh out loud. His family property has already been cashed out, and people are already waiting at the airport for Xiao Yian's arrival. He had called, and Xiao Yian had already set off from the dormitory. At the moment, he was just stuck in traffic on the road. There were always so many pedestrians going to work in the morning. Xiao Yiwan was also reluctant to let Xiao Yian get up early, so he deliberately let her sleep a little longer and booked a later flight. Anyway, there was still time. He sat with his legs crossed in the airport lobby. When the police walked up to him, he had not responded yet. "Come to your senses. Xiao Yiwan." Hearing someone calling his name, Xiao Yiwan instinctively opened his eyes. He didn't like to be disturbed, especially when he was dreaming of a sweet dream, and being interrupted would make him very unhappy. He frowned and his expression was a little gloomy. "We suspect that you are related to the Nyejia supermarket poisoning case. Please come with us temporarily. We have applied for an arrest warrant. During this time, you may not be able to leave China. Please cooperate." After hearing the Nyejia, when he heard the words supermarket poisoning case, Xiao Yiwan's face became a little distorted. Lao Gao and others have not responded to his message yet, which made him a little uneasy. Now the police are here again. No matter how calm and confident he is, Lao Gao and others, he would not betray him, and he did not dare to betray him, but at this moment Xiao Yiwan instinctively panicked. He shook his head subconsciously and wanted to speak. Several police officers no longer wanted to hear more from him. He directly pulled him to stand up. Cold handcuffs were cuffed on his wrists, and the suit bag cover placed next to him was draped over him by the police, which gave him some dignity. He was pushed away before he even had time to call Xiao Yian. 1 hour later, Xiao Yian came to the airport. She always felt a little uneasy today. Her eyelids were twitching violently. It seemed that something bad was going to happen, but she couldn't tell what it was. She swallowed and called Xiao Yiwan. But Xiao Yiwan's phone has been turned off. She knew last night that she was leaving China today, so she could hardly sleep. She was not online because of the recent fuss about this matter. Naturally, she didn't know that the internet was exploding. Because of the incident between her and her uncle, the uncle-nephew affair caused Xiao Yiwan to hire a murderer to please her niece. Whether it was the former or the latter, both were very eye-catching. She didn't know that she had now become the leader of the entire China. Central character. Half an hour later, Xiao Yiwan's phone call failed. An hour later, the beautiful female voice at the airport began to urge her that the plane was about to take off, but before she could wait for Xiao Yiwan, Xiao Yian began to feel a little uneasy and bit her finger. "Come on, we agreed to leave together." It was impossible for Xiao Yiwan to leave her like this. What happened? Why didn't Xiao Yiwan call? Xiao Yan was sitting alone in the waiting room, his expression extremely pale. At this time, Xiao Yiwan had been detained, and the police were examining him. He seemed casual at first, but soon the police received a call and shouted to Xiao Yiwan. "You are so brave. Not only do you dare to poison people, but you also dare to instruct people to kidnap and kill people." Lu Yao called the police. She was also one of the people Xiao Yian hated. She was also one of the people named by Xiao Yiwan to be killed. Several gangsters kidnapped her and raped her. Before they could kill her, they saw Xiao Yiwan's appearance on the internet. News of the trouble. Rape and murder are two different things. This group of gangsters decided to surrender immediately. The confessions of these people undoubtedly became the best key to nailing Xiao Yiwan's crime. When Lu Yao knew that he was murdered by Xiao Yiwan, he was in agony, especially she received 20,000 yuan from Xiaoyan. When she saw the transferred account, she wished she could die with Xiaoyan at this moment. Xiao Yiwan is dead. He paid to kill people. The Nai supermarket incident was not over yet, and now he still wants to kill people. The relationship between uncle and nephew is not a good reputation in the first place. The crime he committed is too bad and the impact is too great. Even if he can't escape the death penalty, he will spend almost the remaining 20 years in prison, and because the nature of his crime is so bad, he will be treated well by his fellow inmates in prison. To be continued.